105.
That's how I welcome you to the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji, this morning. My name is Senna Numbu. Well, let me go to what is happening, what we have on the front pages of the major newspapers we have available to us. The Mirror has Kwewu's Street of Hell. Methodist Church turns into nightclub. And occupants of Sunyani government bungalow still use pan latrines. And then we have Christmas in April shows today. And on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, no petroleum revenue loss. Energy Minister assures. And also 300 million boost for 1D, 1F. President expresses sorrow on death of CK Tedam. Man jailed 7 years for defiling 10-year-old girl. And Mozambique lashed by storm rains. The Daily Guide has on its front page, government disputes Imani's 30 billion loss claim. It comes with a photograph of the Minister for Energy, John Peter Mewu. Kidnapped Indian man rescued. Baby thief jailed 5 years. NDC vigilante killer arrested. And MPP CK Tedam is dead. And of course, Takradi girls rescued. Girls rescued. They have an editorial on that particular publication they made. It's very brief. Let me just read it out to our listeners. It says that following our publication last Wednesday on the missing Takradi girls, further checks indicate our conclusion was factually wrong, as our source mistook different girls receiving treatment at the health facility for the missing girls. We sincerely apologize to the families of the girls as well as our esteemed readers for the error in judgment. In fact, they have created some sort of alarm and panic among the families of the three girls because of this publication. Is one of the issues we are discussing this morning. And of course, on the front page of the Daily Graphic, they have Imani got it wrong. Energy Minister says about Aka oil discovery. And of course, chaos in Ogwa. Rowdy youth disrupt fatal Afashe launch. So those are on the front pages of the newspapers we have this morning. Once again, welcome to the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. And joining me in the studio this morning for the discussion is Mr. Kwesi Prajina, who is managing editor of the Inside newspaper. Dr. Justice Moses Kweku Aheto works with the Center for Human Security and Defense. Center for Human Security and Defense. He's actually a world-class biostatistician, by the way, who has found a lot of passion and love for matters of national security. Adib Sani is Executive Director for the Atike Center for Human Security and Peace Building. Dr. Ibrahim Zuberi, Senior Lecturer in Public Financial Management and Accounting at Accra Technical University. They'll be joining us for the discussion this morning. And of course, today we are discussing the brouhaha surrounding the alleged rescue of the three kidnapped girls of Takradi, publication by the Daily Guide newspaper, and the denial by the Ghana Police Service and the family's intention to demonstrate on 1st and 2nd of May 2019 and related matters. Of course, that publication, there's like I read to you, they are now sort of walking back on that publication, Daily Guide now, that they mistook something else for exactly what they publicized. But we also got the indication from the CIA, the police, that perhaps the statement that was delivered by the criminal investigations, the boss of the criminal investigations department, Director General, may not be accurate, because that's what was told to the families of the girls, that what we heard initially in that public press conference that was addressed by the Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department may not be particularly accurate, because they are now telling the families that they actually do not know where the girls are, which is a contradiction of what the CID boss said, and which was followed by the confirmation, her being conferred the title, the rank of COP So Mamiya Etiwa Adodankwa. We are hoping that we'll hear from the police on that particular matter. And then, secondly, we'll be talking about the senior minister, Yao Safmafu's statement on Aisha Wang and the impact on the fight against illegal mining and the response by the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources and related issues. So those are the two issues we'll be talking about this morning. And on the issue of mining, I would like to... Well, I was going to say congratulations to him, but it seems he is confronted with another issue because at the heart of the mining issues is the treatment that's meted out to Ghanaians by big companies who walk in to mine. And that's one of the reasons why Galamsey has assumed alarming proportions, because there's a feeling that we are not getting enough from our mining activities in Ghana. So I was going to say congratulations to Eliklima Bagbumava of EL Agbumava Law Office. Now, what he did was to get justice for the family of George Emil Bafo. George Emil Bafo actually got drowned in the underground mines of Anglo Gold Ashanti at Adansi, under circumstances that left a little more to be desired, a lot to be desired. That showed that perhaps Anglo Gold Ashanti is not adopting international best practices in mining. Those are some of the things that came out during the trial. But Anglo Gold Ashanti is insisting, because the court has found for the family of George Emil Bafo. But Anglo Gold Ashanti is going ahead to file an appeal, insisting that George Emil Bafo actually may have killed himself, that they were not responsible for his death, when actually evidence that had been adduced at the trial to show that they were complicit. Well, so that is also another issue, and I wish Eliklima Bagbumava all the best as he goes ahead. I've also been speaking to him on that issue. Hopefully we'll share the details of that interview with you on this particular network. But, well, let's kick off with today's discussion, and I have in the studio with me Dr. Justice Moses Kwekwahetu of the Center for Human Security and Defense. And he will be starting the discussion with us on the Tardy girls and what we are hearing now. But before I go to him, let me just read to you what the Daily Guide is now writing this morning. That's from the editorial team. It's titled, Tardy Girls Rescued. And it says, following up application last Wednesday on the missing Takoradi girls, further checks indicate our conclusion was factually wrong, as our source mistook different girls receiving treatment at the health facility for the missing girls. We sincerely apologize to the families of the girls as well as our esteemed readers for the error in judgment. So once again, to join us, my name is Sana Nombo. Show is produced by Patrick Asford Bwedu, and you are on Alhaji and Alhaji. Doc, good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Senna, and good morning to your cherished listeners.
I hope you're doing well.
I'm great, by God.
Okay, so he's starting the discussion for us on the Tardy girls, the three missing Tardy girls, and of course what the Daily Guide publication has led to.
Okay, thank you very much, Senna. In fact, on my way, I was just praying that by the time I get to Radio Gold, I will have a news that the girls are actually back. But I got to Radio Gold almost 30 minutes now. No news actually got to me, which is very sad. So I'm very sad for today, to be frank, to be talking about this case that started more than 5 months ago. But as is expected, some of us are not surprised at all, because from day one, we have been talking about this issue, especially the way and the manner that it's been handled by our security couples. 3 days ago, I had a chat with some of the top hierarchy at the BNI and some few other police headquarters, especially within the CID section or unit. I mean, if you listen to many of them, in fact, those that you even think should be central as far as this operation is concerned are not even participating. These are people we know. Everywhere you go, if you ask for the go-getter ones, you can never get names without them. But some of them are just sitting behind computers. And you ask yourself, are you really ready to rescue these girls? Now let's go straight to the point now. Kidnap is different from certain other activities where you are a security officer. For instance, if MPP is going to have a rally somewhere and they say go and provide security, there are things you do. Or maybe the president is going somewhere, they say the BNI, the national security, and the police, CID here and there should go and prepare the ground for the president to come. It's a different business on its own. When it comes to kidnapping, this is one of the sensitive businesses for all security agencies globally. It's not a joke. But it appears so far that what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing from the top hierarchy, it looks like we are treating this kidnap issue as if it's just one of the normal operations of the police or of other security agencies, which is very, very disheartening because from day one, some of us have identified some lapses in how they are going about the whole of this operation. And we keep talking about it. People think we are just against the system. But I know this is normal where, you are not towing the line of certain people. You are being identified as against the system. So we'll still keep doing what we're doing because all of us cannot sit down where the right things are being bent for the wrong ones. For instance, as we're talking right now, getting to a month now, the CID boss, there was a press conference where she made it public that they have identified the location of the kidnapped girls. That seems to be good news to many. But some of us were warning them that even what the CID boss did, technically and security-wise, is wrong. Because at the time of the press conference, she's not telling us that, the girls are in their custody and they are preparing them to be reunited with their families. That is when you'll be able to be specific on what you're doing. But her statement clearly made it clear to all of us that, look, the girls are still under somebody's control. The girls are still not in the custody of the police. The girls are still not found, just that we know about their locations. Knowing location does not mean you have actually rescued the person. And the rescue operation itself is a very serious business. You'll be surprised that now you have identified the location of the person. You try to negotiate so that you come to some terms so that the people can be released for you to take home. This negotiation can fail. And when the negotiation failed, the next move is to go by force. And going by force, you don't even know the weapons that these kidnappers are also having. Even your own men could lose their lives, including the very people you want to save. The kidnapped girls could also lose their life when you want to go in by force. And those things have not been done yet for you to be sure that, 100% that their lives are assured. And now you are telling us that you have identified their location, giving false hope to the people. And let me tell you, if this were to be outside, by the time you hear the word, we have identified the victims, operations are already underway, and they know they have already rescued them. That is how it's supposed to be. So let me put it this way. By the time the CID boss will say that we have identified them, there are men who surround the very location or the building or wherever the girls were kept. There are men fully armed, ready to break in to save these lives. So by the 1 minute that statement is made, you realize then there are simultaneous kind of actions going on. And then the next thing you hear in the next few minutes is that we actually have rescued the girls. But almost a month now, when we were told that they have identified the location of these girls, nothing has happened. Just to be told recently by one of the government appointees, I think that was the Maslog executive director, that the families of the kidnapped girls will have patience. How long can you have a patient when somebody was kidnapped for almost 5 months? This happens far back in December 2018. And we are now heading to May 2019. I
think one of them happened as far back as August.
No, yes, that's true. One of them, the first one was far back in August. We should not be joking in this country. But anyway, let me tell you, it doesn't take an executive director of Maslog to tell the families of the kidnapped girls to exercise patience. What is our president doing? It appears so far that the president seems to not care about Ghana anymore after assuming power. This is somebody who was going all around, touting his reputation as far as, his role in championing the cause of Ghana is concerned. But since this guy has become a president, he didn't care about Ghana anymore. He don't care about Ghana anymore. Why am I the only one observing this trend? We have been in this country where even flood actually happened. People lost their life. This man never speak. We have been in this country where these girls were adopted, kidnap issues were all coming. We are all discussing it. I haven't seen this president coming out to talk anything serious about this issue. I mean, we are in this country where, I mean, over 70 or 60 lives were lost through the accident on this Kintampo area. I don't know if you remember that story. Yeah. This man has never come out to say anything. All we hear is that we are having the Kenke party at the Ministry of Finance. What is going on? But it is the same president, if something happened outside, he'll be the first to tweet about it, to console the people. Right now, the latest church building fire in France.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. This was somebody where we are struggling to even get food to eat. This guy actually is sending 200 million to France so that they can rebuild the church. Where Ghana, even our own flood systems are yet to be cleaned. Go to Odona right now. The place is full. So in the next rain, people's lives are going to be lost again. They are not doing anything to seal these gutters for us for our safety. But this is the same person who go out to do things that you ask yourself, what did we go wrong as a country? And today, as I'm talking to right now, these girls are yet to be found. And Daily Guide last time, I think that was last week, came with this story that actually they were found and they were in the custody of BNI and they had been prepared at hospital here and there. If you remember, I was one of those interviewed on this issue. I made it clear that even should the girls be identified, the family should be the first people or the first person to be informed. I made it clear on air. And I'm not surprised that Daily Guide has come back to say that no, actually we made an error in what we said. Now, let me come back to this. I think it is time for Ghanaians who are working at the security sectors of the country to be Ghanaians, especially those who are being paid heavily to secure our life and property for us. Our CID boss should be very careful as to how she go about certain activities. If I were her, I would be the last person to talk about either the kidnapped girls were actually identified or found the location here and there. The reason being that everybody is looking up to you as the boss. So anytime you come out to say something, it carry a weight. And when you come out to say something, and that weight that we give you just disappear like that, it gives us some sense that somebody is controlling you. There's no doubt about that. Because as a security capo, the only time you will come out to act, it means you have credible evidence. And in the next few days or minutes or hours, actions are going to be seen. You come out to say something over going to a month now, but no action. So what are you telling us? What it means is that even those below you will be discouraged about this kind of stuff. You see, as I'm here now, I don't feel too much happy as a Ghanaian. I use the word too much happy as a Ghanaian. The reason being that it could happen to me. Assume that I just leave your studio right now and someone kidnap me on the way. It can take almost a year before they will find me. For instance, like the one that happens in August, we are now in April. How many months now? We are getting close to a year. So should it take almost 6 months for me to be rescued from my adapters? These are the questions you should be asking. And it looks like Ghanaians are not seeing the sensitivity of this issue, because this is not the only sector where we are having a challenge when it comes to the security issues. There have been some series of armed robberies some time ago when this government took over, where people went to the bank to withdraw money, and before they realized they were shot in their cars, monies were taken out. A whole lot of issues actually happened. But we were being promised that things are going to be done. But yet I realized that the security system is not actually prepared to take up these challenges. But actually we are much, much happier to do the little things like the normal or the basic kind of things that the police system is supposed to be doing. For instance, recently regarding this the tape from the CID boss, or let's say from the police, that was linked to the chairman of the NDC. You have seen how swift the CID boss and the police system acted. I don't know. I was so surprised. I was like, oh, can the security agencies act so swift like this? So swift like this, but when it comes to other issues of security, then we don't see anything happening. Because the rate at which they acted on that doctored tape from the CID boss, as far as the chairman's position is concerned, if they can act like that in other security sectors of Ghana, I can assure you and I will not even be discussing these issues today. You see, so my concern here is that can we allocate the same effort that we give certain areas to all the areas that we're supposed to have a look at? I mean, to be frank with you, if you look at the ages of the girls, 15, 18, 21, these are people so young. So now they are in custody of somebody. Or you know, when it comes to terrorism, something happened that many people don't think about. These kidnapped girls, the 3 of them, to your surprise, or maybe somebody is preparing them to attack. How do we get to the Boko Haram? Your ones were adapted, were trained for some time. They were even trained how to carry hot bombs on them. And then they can go and destroy anything. They go to the market and just release it and they are gone. Because they are so young, what it means is that mentally they are not that prepared to repel or to reject any information given to them that is not accurate. And they are ready to absorb anything that is given to them. So this is another side that we are actually losing the fight on. They are so young. What it means is that anything given to them, they're ready to consume it. You will not be surprised that if these people come back and if they're not well prepared to feed back into the system, they could be some of the people who can even actually lead us to something else. I'm saying this publicly because it looks like so far all the discussions we have been having, we are not paying attention to these things. We need to be sure that even when they are now finally found and brought back, they are fully prepared to reintegrate into the system, because the fear is that they could be given or they could be poisoned in terms of their minds as to certain things. And then before I will wrap up on this very one, there are procedures that we need to follow when you want to rescue people under kidnap conditions. First of all, you need to make sure you put in the team, for instance, that the negotiators, those who can do the searching and coding, and then those who can also help you to digitize the locations here and there. And then sometimes to involve the telecoms, because sometimes some of them might be having their phones on, or maybe their kidnappers might have been in touch with them here and there. So the telecoms can help to identify some of these geographical locations using the GPS system. That is one way of doing it. Then after that, you begin to now do the search, because by then you might have narrowed down on certain specific areas or countries where these people might be. Then when you get there, now based on information from the CID board, they have now identified the location. So there are only 2 things left. Now, please find a way of having contact with the abductors together with those who were kidnapped. Then, secondly, find a way to negotiate after that. After you make a contact, find a way to negotiate. Now, the negotiation, how is the negotiation done? By all means, you need to find out actually what are the interests of the kidnappers. That's the first thing. After finding the interest of the kidnappers, it is then that you say, okay, if this is what you want, please, so and so. And what I'm talking about now, the negotiation is not going to be done by anybody at all. There are people who are trained to negotiate in times like that. As well like kidnapping, there are people who are trained to negotiate. Even terrorism, there are people who are trained to negotiate with the kidnappers or the terrorists, so as to actually save the lives that you want to protect. It is only when this negotiation failed, then that is the time for you to now use your force. So for me, as soon as I've heard that the location was identified, I know in the next day or 2 we are getting the girls. But now we haven't gotten it. So Sana, the country is not safe as far as security issues are concerned. The reason being that maybe our security corps are not being allowed to put their professions to the best use. Maybe they are being controlled by our politicians. And I can tell you that I don't think there will be less than 80% chance that something is happening from the political arena which is controlling our people. I can tell you on authority that I know a lot of them. A lot of them are my friends from the BNI and then the police, the CID here and there. These are seasoned professionals who have been even traveling out to undertake activities within the UN system and come back, and they were actually rewarded with clouds here and there. So the question is, what is now stopping these people putting the same effort at their own country? If not politics, what else will you think about? What it means is that there are people who actually supposed to be given the opportunity to work, but they are not giving the chance. I just told that some of them were actually currently sitting behind the computers. Every day they go and they read computers and go home. And these are go-getters in the system. These are go-getters in the system. They are sitting behind computers now. Go to the headquarters right now. Go to the BNI also. The thing is, if they don't want to fire you, they will make you useless. You just come to the office, read computers, read newspapers, and go home. And you and I, our taxpayers' money are being used to pay these people. If you don't need them, make it clear that you don't need them, let them go somewhere. But that is not being done. I mean, ideally, by now, I mean, if it is some countries, the CID boss should not be sitting in the office at the moment. But she's comfortably there. We don't even know what next is coming to say again. I'm just scared about what is happening in the system now. Thank you very much. That is my first submission on the kidnap issue.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Justice Moses Aheto. If you just join us, you're listening to the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. We are live on a number of affiliates across the country. A big thank you to those stations. We're also live on tuning.com. And if you use a multi-TV decoder, we are live on multi-TV channel 13. If you're on Facebook, we are live on PAB MCGH on Facebook. Join us with your contributions. You can use our WhatsApp number. Alternatively, if you're watching us on PAB MCGH on Facebook, just use the comment section, post a comment, and I'll read out your views on the discussions we are having. And let me just read out one message, then I'll come to Dr. Ibrahim Zubeiru. And this is from Mark Doe. Says, whatever is happening in the country is divine and providence. When you lie your way to win political power, this is how the good God will expose you. They told the whole world that they have the men to deliver from Ghana from her problems, but little did we know they are nation wreckers. 2020 is just around the corner. The bad change must change. Doc, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to join you today. And first of all, let me use this opportunity to say good morning to all the listeners of Radio Gold, especially our flag bearer, the indefatigable John Dramani Mahama, the national chairman, the general secretary, and all those who matter. And good morning to my senior brother, Kwesi Pratt. It's a long time. And then my colleague, Justice, who is here with us. This issue about the kidnap, my brother, is serious. What I don't understand is the confusion between the security services themselves. You know, the CID made this categorically some time ago that they found them, according to Tua. And then BNI too are saying that they are not found. The Daily Guide newspaper has published that the girls who have been kidnapped have not been found, or they have been found. Whatever it is. My problem is, let's police come together, BNI, the CID, and whoever is in charge of some of these things come together and issue one statement where the girls are. Are they in their custody? Are they with the kidnappers? And if they are with the kidnappers, what they are doing? I think that the security issues, if you have not concluded your investigation, you don't come out to come and make any public statement. When you do that, you give these kidnappers some opportunity to re-put their tactics together and then chat away wherever you are trying to get close to. You may be getting close, but because you put out some information, it doesn't scare them all. Well, this kidnapping, when you go to some countries, is a business. And if the same people have their trainees here, then we are in for a serious thing that we have to look at. Since when? The last year or this year that they were kidnapped? Some more than 5 months ago.
It was last year.
Last year. That's more than 5 months ago. You understand? So I don't understand. What kind of a security system do we have that children have been kidnapped since last year and we don't know where they are up to now? Do you think this can happen in an advanced country where the security systems are seriously abound, you know? So police, CID should have been doing. Because if I want to relate this to things that has happened in this country, how swift they were to be able to get to the bottom, I think this is not beyond them. I remember the killing of famous police officers called Ninja and his colleagues in Ablekuma. Rollins time. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Look at how they were able to unravel, even people who were killed and buried.
Yeah.
They were able to unravel and get it, listen, and arrest the people. You understand? Look at what is happening, or what has happened to our national chairman. Look at how swift they acted, like my brother just indicated. Can we do that? Or is it that there are people who know their work, but we are not giving them the opportunity to do the work? It's happening everywhere. Crime is a crime. One is committed by whoever, and the person should be arrested. Last week, one of my brothers called me from Anya area that one of our cousins, her daughter didn't come home. They reported the issue to the police. Somebody called them that the young girl is with him and that they have to pay some money before they could release the young girl. Anya Soweto area here. And they went to the police. As we speak now, police are saying that they went to the MTN. MTN said it has to go to the court to get a court order to trace the number so that the MTN can give them the information as to who registered the number and all that, so that they can be able to trace. And it has been about 14 days now that the young girl, who's about 13 years, who was coming from school, that didn't reach home, Accra here, and the issue was with the Anya police station. So this is no different from what happened in Takoradi. It means it is happening in isolated areas. If it doesn't come to the notice into the media, like what happened in Takoradi, you will not hear it. So what are we doing as a country? What kind of a security structure or architecture do we have? It's important we as a people be conscious of that kind of security. Because if you are not safe, I'm not safe, the country is not safe. You don't have to allow the safety of only the rich people at the expense of the poor. Our taxpayers is being used to pay the police setup, the security setup. And ironically, the budget of these institutions don't come to public scrutiny because we say it's security. So if all those monies are going there, and I tell you, it's not small money. It's not. If all these are going there and we don't get whatever we are expecting or the kind of security we want, then where are we? I think the government has put together so much with regards to security to tell us that they are ready to protect us. Because in the history of this Ghana, for the first time, we have the Minister for National Security and he has a deputy. And you have Minister of State in charge of national security. How many people? Then we have the National Security Coordinator. You understand? So if they are there, what are they doing? Now we have police. Look at administration. You have the BNI. They have their structure. But all of them are security. All of them. What are they doing? You have national security people. I think that the guys they gave those khaki uniforms to go and be brutalizing innocent people at La Baulation, they should send them out to go and look for these kidnappers. I think that will save us. That will be better job done than what they did at Ayawaso West Wugon. And as a country, we need to be serious, honestly. I don't think this will happen in an advanced country where we always compare ourselves to. You understand? How did the issues of kidnapped girls in the Nigeria resolved to the extent that they saw them, though it took a high-level support from international community and other places. We do. Must we invite them to here? No. We claim we have the men. Where are they? What is the National Security Council doing? Are they concerned about the welfare of these young girls? Assuming a son or a daughter of any of the ministers of state today is part of these young girls, I bet you it will not reach 1 week, they will find all of them. They will find them. And we say, so I think, to the best of my understanding, the families are not at ease. And I share their pain because it is coming to my house too, because that young girl, she's a relation. So we are doing what we can. Yesterday I have to talk to some lawyers so that we'll put together with the police, and then we'll go to court to get an order for MTN to release the details of the number for us to be able to get through with some of these things. So please, government has to indicate its readiness, its preparedness and seriousness to secure everybody in the country. I'm telling you, it is happening in isolated areas in the country. People don't get access to public to announce some of these things, but it is happening. If the police across the country will be telling everybody the truth, they have 1 or 2 several reports of some of these kidnappers across the country. I don't know, but you see, we cannot sit here and think that nothing is happening at all. So I think that this is my suggestion to the government. What they have to do is that they have to intensify the search. If it is true they have not found them, because the contradictory statement smacks hypocrisy. Why? Why will CID say this, BNA say this, and somebody will come say no? Where are the children? We want to know. They should come out. We want to know. That will tell us. Well, we have interest. It could be my daughter, it could be your daughter, it could be somebody else. So they should tell us. We want to know. They should come together and tell us the truth. Are the girls with them? I believe Tiwa, she's a mother. And if her daughter is missing, can she sit in a chair in that her office? No. She should sit up and have the pain of that motherhood, and then get out there to get the children if they don't have them. But if they do, they should liaise with the families and then release the girls to the families. But if they are negotiating with the kidnappers to get something done, then they should hurry and then make things quick, because families are going through horrible experiences with the loss of these children. So on this ground, I think I'll hold on, then we'll look at other things. Okay. I'm going to, if I want to look at other things, I will look at education, but as we go on, I think there will be optional time for us to look at those things. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zubairu. So let me read a couple of the messages before I come to Mr. Pratt. Well, this one is coming from Blemos. It says, why should CID women be promoted upon lying about the whereabouts of the kidnapped girls? And a couple more messages on Pub MCGH. Charles Thompson says, this is what happens when square pegs in round holes run the show in corruption reading Ghana. Kleptocratic and kakistocratic officials running the show in Ghana. Democracy of the highest order. Evangelist Christopher Mensah Gamli says, why is the police CID boss still at post? We should all be treated equally, else this country is going nowhere. Our Angela Kojofiagbe says, Nana Akufo-Addo's government, he doesn't care about the suffering of the citizens. King Farouk says, another leak tape, Minister of State trying to cover up corruption. National interest this MPP government doesn't care about it. When is the CID boss you are going to invite him? That's from King Farouk. Send that from Kaswa. Habib Bantu says, good morning, Senna and your cherished listeners. Ever since President Akufo-Addo took over power, Ghana has become a banana republic where our security agency has become a toothless bulldog. To this administration, what we expect, Ghanaians must reject this super incompetent MPP government and vote massively for JDM and the NDC. Ibrahim Chemba says, good morning, Comrade Senna, and good morning to your panelists. Senna, why is the NDC quiet over EC's diabolical attitude against the party? Is EC rather waging war and painting NDC black? My party should vehemently respond to them before Ghanaians begin to believe the Electoral Commission. Send that from Kaswa Observers Mission. Apia Samuel says, please, when is GM going to appoint his vice president? Please ask the NDC man for me, because we are waiting for him. It has taken too long. Samuel Apia sent that from Italy, Sassuolo specific. Eufak and Tamale says, good morning to you, Senna, and to your panelists. The senior minister, Safumanfo, I don't blame him much, but blame his boss, President Anado, for selling Ghanaians to China for their selfish interests. 2020 will kick out this incompetent government out of power. Kujo Adokwao says, a president without vision and focus. This president and his clan government has expired, and it's our duty to sack them from office due to their abysmal performance. Then Joseph Mensah says the CID boss got the current position not by merit, but family link. He continues and says the NDC communicators must link all criticisms to the MPP government and not Akufo-Addo, because he may not run for 2020. Joseph Mensah continues, the CID boss is not of her job. Walanyo Enakwetia says, Honorable Safumanfo's comment to the question about Aisha's deportation was unpatriotic and unnationalistic, especially for those of us in the mining environment, because some of our galamseers are serving their jail term in prison. But the NDC, as government during Mahama regime, treated Aisha with kid gloves, arrested her numerous times and released her because she was untouchable in Ghana. What did Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa's government take us for? Aisha Wang has been in Ghana since the NDC regime. What did they do to her? We won't fall for these things again, and we need a better message from the National Democratic Congress. Mr. Pratt.
Well, first of all, I'd like to make some comments about the program, Alhaji and Alhaji. Alhaji and Alhaji used to be the biggest talk show in this country. And you can tell that from the number of awards that the program has received over the years. Unfortunately, over the last 2 years, it seems to me that the program is going down. And I say that as somebody who started Alhaji and Alhaji on Radio Gold the first day, and have been here up till now. The problem largely is that many of the people who populated our panels are refusing to show up. And even when they show up so late that it impairs the program. We do not have enough time to do a thorough analysis of the topics before us. My appeal goes, one, to the management of Radio Gold to take a direct and positive interest in the development of the program. And two, to all those who shared our dream of creating this program as an alternative platform to provide information and analysis to the people of Ghana, to take this program a lot more seriously than they have done. They're killing this program. I do not want to believe that it is deliberate, but it has many implications for the station Radio Gold, for our numerous listeners, and for whatever, So management of Radio Gold need to sit up and take the program a lot more seriously. Now, to the issue before us, over the last couple of years, we have been seeing new forms of crime. As a matter of fact, heinous crimes. We have been seeing, in recent times, kidnapping for ransom, which is not normal and regular in Ghana, and other crimes. And the intensity with which these crimes are growing must be exceedingly worrying for anybody who wants to see Ghana develop. Well, because Ghana cannot develop in this atmosphere of insecurity and uncertainty. And sometimes the facts are shocking. The facts presented by the security services to us are absolutely shocking. I mean, last week, we were told of the kidnapping of a diplomat. Now, from the report that we got from the newspapers, the police did not know about this kidnapping. The diplomat had been kidnapped for some time, and the police had no idea. The police had information that there was a particular abode somewhere in Sakumono or thereabout, and that neighbors suspected that some criminal activities could be taking place there. The police went to the site of the crime, and the kidnappers allegedly scaled the back wall and ran away. And they found this diplomat who had been kidnapped in the house. I mean, this sounds like a Kwakwanansi story. I mean, if the police was minded to approach this site, which could be a criminal site, to effect arrest or to do a search, it would appear that the most sensible thing they could have done was to surround the building before penetration. Sure. How come that the criminals managed to scale the back wall and run away? I mean, it simply doesn't make any sense at all. And it must worry all of us who want to see the security services doing their work diligently. That is not the only thing that happened in the course of last week or 2 weeks ago, which must be exceedingly worrying for all of us. We are told, I mean, Pan-African television reported that right in front of Fiesta Royal Hotel, some 2 men on motorbikes pumped 3 bullets into a victim and escaped. As we speak, no arrest has been made. There is no indication of who may have committed that dastardly crime. My own checks have revealed something which is extremely worrying. When I heard that the shooting had taken place in front of Fiesta Royal, I thought that it would be easy to apprehend those who were responsible because the area is covered by CCTV cameras. My checks now reveal that the CCTV cameras went off 2 minutes before the shooting. I mean, that is bizarre. Was it coincidence? If it was no coincidence, who disabled the CCTV camera? And why did it coincide with this shooting and so on? It's a bit strange. Now, this morning, on page 2 of the Daily Guide, is another report of a kidnapping. And we are told that an Indian businessman was kidnapped in Kumasi last Thursday. Now, this Indian businessman was alerted that he had a flat tire. He came out of his car to check on the flat tire, and the kidnappers grabbed him, pushed him into their vehicle, and sped away. The kidnappers subsequently demanded $500,000 from his family. Now, this is the shocking news. The police now say that they have rescued this Indian kidnapper, the kidnappers of the Indian. Yeah. And the police go on to say that they use signals from the phones of the kidnappers to effect the arrests. I mean, this again is incredible. If signals of the phones of kidnappers lead to the arrest, why would you put that information in the public domain? So what you're telling kidnappers is that the means you use to identify them and their locations is this. And therefore, next time if they are kidnapping,
they should put off their phones.
They should put off their phones, or they should not use their phones. I mean, this is incredible. An incredible level of incompetence. And perhaps somebody may want to explain later. You know, as a practitioner of communications and so on, I know of a certain technique that is used. It is used by everybody. It's used by politicians. It's used by criminal investigators. It's used by everybody. It is simply called flying the kite.
Yeah.
Okay. So when politicians want to come up with some policy measures that they think may be unpopular, or they want to test what public reaction is likely to be and so on, they fly a kite. They get sources that cannot easily be traced to them to make the announcement, and then they gauge public reaction in order to reshape the policy, to abandon the policy, or to implement the policy with gusto.
Yeah.
This is used everywhere.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, in the case of the 3 kidnapped girls, I do not think that what the commissioner of CID did was to fly a kite. Because he actually called a full-blown press conference and personally announced that the whereabouts of the kidnapped girls was known and that they will soon be released. That's not how you fly a kite. Indeed, I can understand why the police would want to fly a kite. If you fly a kite in respect of the kidnapped girls, normally it is expected that the kidnappers will become jittery and might want to change their location, might do certain things which would enable you to pinpoint their location.
Sure.
Okay. So you fly a kite in circumstances where you are close to identifying where they are, where you know that they are in a certain location and you want confirmation. So you then fly the kite to watch that whole area and to look for signs of their presence. Now, you don't fly the kite by addressing a press conference by the commissioner of CID. You understand? So, I think that it was improper. It was not the truth, and it has led to a certain level of loss of confidence in the police establishment by the public. Now, this morning, Daily Guide on page 2 has a report which is exceedingly interesting. The Attorney General has waded into the case of the kidnapped girls and the announcement by the CID that they had actually located where the girls are. Mind you, the Attorney General in our criminal justice system is perhaps most important. Only the Attorney General has the power to initiate and abort criminal prosecution. She has enormous powers, and indeed, under normal circumstances, no prosecution can take place without her fiat. Even the Office of Special Prosecutor initiates prosecution on behalf of the Attorney General, and that is what she says is most important and relevant. And this is what the Daily Guide says. The Attorney General took exception to the disclosure by COPMS Mamiya Tiwa Adodankwa, the Director General of Criminal Investigations Department of Ghana Police Service, close to a month that her outfit knows the whereabouts of the kidnapped girls. The Attorney General told Joy FM, an Accra-based radio station, that the disclosure could further endanger the lives of the girls. She said it was wrong for the investigating authorities to make that announcement. And this is very important. She said it was wrong for the investigating authorities to make that announcement, noting that when those keeping the girls know their whereabouts are known, they would change the location. That signals those who have them, and they could change their location, she told the radio station. And she went on, and this is in quotes. You could even endanger their lives, and I find it even regrettable that the information went out that they have been found. And then there's a background and so on. Now, what the Attorney General is saying is that if indeed the police had established the whereabouts of the girls, even if they had established the whereabouts of the girls, it would have been wrong to announce that at a press conference. But I think that the situation is worse than what the Attorney General is describing. Because as we sit here, it does appear that the police simply lied. That the police does not know the whereabouts of the girls. Now, on the front page of Daily Guide is also some very interesting position which has been put out by the editorial team of the newspaper. And it's headed, Reference Tardy Girls Rescued. And I heard you read it this morning, but for the purposes of this analysis, I'd like to read it again. It says, following a publication last Wednesday on the missing Takoradi girls, further checks indicate our conclusion was factually wrong, as our source mistook different girls receiving treatment at the health facility for the missing girls. We sincerely apologize to the families of the girls as well as our esteemed readers for the error in judgment. Now, a number of issues arise. First, are we talking about an error in judgment, or we are talking about an error in fact? An error in judgment is where you wrongly interpret facts.
Yeah.
Okay? An error in fact is simply when the facts are wrong. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now here, what are the material facts we are looking for? Takoradi girls. Have they been rescued or not? They have not been rescued. Takoradi girls, kidnapped girls, are they in a health facility or not? They are not in a health facility and so on. Now, I want to ask a few questions. Who are these other girls who are receiving treatment in a health facility? Are there some other kidnapped girls that we did not know about? And if there are some other kidnapped girls that we did not know about, when were they kidnapped? And why have we been kept in the dark? Now, if there are not some other kidnapped girls that we have not known about and so on, who are they? And why has the police been interested in taking girls and putting them in a health facility for treatment? The police just doesn't go about our community grabbing girls who are suffering from malaria or headache and so on and put them in a health facility for treatment. So if we are now being told that indeed there are some girls in a health facility who may have been put there by the police for treatment, we want to understand or want to know who those girls are and the circumstances under which they were put there to receive medical attention. Now, I'm a journalist, like the same journalist who wrote the story. And I know the many things that happen in our profession that many other people would never get to know, and so on. And I'll find it exceedingly strange if reporters of a newspaper like the Daily Guide just sat in the corner of their office and decided to concoct a story and put it out. That would be very strange. In my almost 40 years, more than 40 years of practice as a journalist, I haven't come across more than 3 cases of outright deliberate fabrication. In more than 40 years of practice. So when you have a case of outright deliberate fabrication by a newspaper, it's extraordinary. And I do not believe that the Daily Guide deliberately fabricated the story. My belief, and I insist belief, I insist on the word belief, is that somebody must have given them that information. Somebody, somewhere. Because to put the story on the front page, and this is not any ordinary story, it's a story which has received substantial public attention, local public attention, and public attention abroad. I think any journalist who does that must be absolutely crazy to do that. And I don't believe that there's anybody working on the Daily Guide who is that crazy. You understand? My firm belief is that somebody gave that information. Who is that person? And in fact, you see, for the Daily Guide to establish its credibility and maintain its credibility, it ought to do more than it has done now. Because it ought to name and shame its source of information. You understand what I'm saying? It ought to name and shame its source of information. Otherwise, the impression will be falsely created that it was an ethical practice by the media house, and it may not be so. I mean, there are some people when they give you information, even though ethics says that we should check and cross-check and so on, we also recognize in the practice that some people, when they give you information, sometimes there's no need to cross-check and recheck and those kind of things. Yeah. You understand? I mean, if I'm called by the president, for example, and this is just an example, who tells me that he's going to reshuffle his cabinet the next day, with whom am I going to check? He's the ultimate authority when it comes to reshuffling cabinet. There's no other person to cross-check with. And given all the attributes that we give to presidents and so on, we can take presidents on their word and so on. So I don't know the full facts. I would not pretend to know the full facts. But my strong suspicion is that Daily Guide did not fabricate this story, that somebody gave them wrong information. It is in the interest of Daily Guide itself to show who gave the wrong information so that we can exact the appropriate answers and so on. Now, what is worrying is the insensitivity of those handling this particular matter. I mean, just imagine that you're a parent and your 14-year-old girl has been abducted for 5 months or more. Imagine what will be happening in the household, in the family, the extended family, the anxiety, the pain, the trauma, and so on. And then on top of all that, persons who have a responsibility for protecting us, for finding us when we are kidnapped, for soothing our wounds and so on, then begin to rub a handful of salt into our wound. And that's exactly what is happening. the emotions of the parents and relatives are being toyed with. Exceptional pain is being inflicted on the relatives, on the parents, and possibly on the girls themselves, because we don't know whether or not where the girls are, they still have access to this information. And if they have access to this information, we are worsening their condition, their psychological condition, and so on. And I'm very, very deeply worried by these developments. Now, my brother, there is something else which must be even more deeply worrying. And what is that? We have spoken about it many times already. The national constitution is flagrantly being abused. Being abused to the extent that it has led to a situation where the Ghanaian public appears to be convinced that our security services are politically partisan and that we cannot expect justice from them. You understand? Now, why is that so? And senior police officers have spoken to this publicly. The whole mode of appointment and retention of top security personnel in office is a huge problem. Very huge problem. First of all, top security personnel do not have security of tenure, which means that they hold their positions at the pleasure of the sitting executive. Now, policemen, they are human beings like us. They eat, they have to pay their children's school fees, they have to put petrol in their car. When they are sick, they need to get treatment and so on. Policemen are not going to commit suicide by acting in ways which annoy the executive and which may prompt the executive to sack them. So they tend to toe the line. Now, since 1993 or thereabout, all heads of security services, especially the police, have changed with every new government. So if you have an Inspector General of Police who is sitting there who knows that he's going with the next government, he obviously would not want the current one to fall, because he will fall with the current one. So there have been calls for a new look at the Constitution in order to insulate the security services from direct partisan political control. And this is something that we need to look at. If you want an efficient, professional police service, if you want an efficient, professional security service, then we've got to be thinking about the provision of security of tenure for people who hold those positions. You understand? Now, my worry, which I think is the deepest worry, is that over time, we are deliberately, through deliberate action and so on, eroded the credibility of the police service and other security agencies. And that is a huge problem for fighting crime. Right now, as I sit here, if I drove out of Radio Gold and I saw somebody in police uniform stopping me, giving me the sign to stop, why should I stop? Tell me one good reason why I should stop. Because it has been proven over the last couple of years that not all those in police uniforms are legitimate police officers carrying out their professional duties. And that's a huge problem for the maintenance of security, the issue of credibility, and so on. I mean, some of the panelists have already made reference to what happened in Ayawaso East Wogon.
West, yeah.
Ayawaso West Wogon. For me, listening to the probe and so on, what came out very clearly and what was most disturbing was the manner of recruitment into the national security services. We had somebody who said that he used to sell phones and that he heard at Kwame Nkrumah Circle that the National Security Secretariat was doing recruitment, and he went and he was recruited. My Jove! Is that how you recruit people into the security services? If the security service do not have minimum entry requirements and so on, then there's a huge problem. Because they ought to have minimum requirements for entering the security service. I know, for example, that in the past, I don't know if that is true yet, flat-footed persons were not allowed into the security services, and there were other physical disabilities, which were not allowed into the security service. That's one of the minimum requirements. You understand? And then there's a certain minimum level of education. You must be able to read and write and so on. Minimum requirements. Now, what happened to those minimum requirements? Now, in the course of the short committee's hearings, there was a discussion between the former Inspector General of Police, Mr. Champong, who was a member of the short committee or commission, and the current Inspector General of Police. And some very vital information came out of that discourse. I don't know how many people took note of it, and I don't know how many people critically analyzed that discourse. What was it? It turned out that the SWAT team at the National Security Office was established in 2009. Okay, 2009. Long before Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo came into office as president. But then, what is interesting is how the SWAT team was recruited. Every member of the SWAT team who was recruited in 2009 was a bona fide, legitimate, and proper police officer. Nobody was recruited outside the police service. What actually happened was that the signal was sent out for persons who had already enlisted in the police service who wanted to join the SWAT team to apply. So all manner of police officers, inspectors, superintendents, and whatnot applied to join the SWAT team. And they were recruited then. Then there was a very strict criteria. You have to do 2 miles in a certain number of minutes. You have to run 2 miles in a certain number of minutes. You have to be able to do a certain number of push-ups in a certain number of seconds and so on. So everybody was put to an empirical test. And those who passed, irrespective of rank, were recruited to serve as the core of the SWAT team. Is that what is being done today? What is being done today is that hoodlums and gangsters associated with political parties are being deliberately recruited into the service as jobs for the boys. They are being recruited to carry out the duties of the Tonton Makuts in the national security establishment. Very frightening development. And we heard how many weeks of training they give them.
3 weeks.
Of course. They pick people from the streets, mobile phone dealers, and from their own account, gangsters and robbers. Give them 2 to 3 weeks training, put weapons in their hands, and unleash them on the general public. Very frightening situation. You understand? You saw the tape that Manasseh Azuri released. And you heard from the horse's own mouth that virtually no week passes without some of these elements
Committing crimes.
being arrested for crime and compelling the leaders to go and free them. So these are the people who are being given 2 to 3 weeks training and being given sophisticated weapons and unleashed on the public. How do you expect to have the security of the citizen assured in these unwholesome circumstances? Very unwholesome circumstances. You understand? So I'm very deeply worried about what is happening. The way some elements, and I insist some elements in the police service, are conducting themselves will completely erode the credibility of the service. And if that happens, God help us. Look, there are so many uniformed men and women in the police service, the Ghana Armed Forces, and other security agencies, and uniformed men and women who are as committed to the interest of Ghana as the politicians are, or maybe even more committed to the interests of Ghana than politicians are, or some of the politicians are. There are so many men and women in the police service and other security services who are serving their country to the best of their ability. And so we should not destroy them by these sometimes obviously silly acts of foolish politicking in the security services. I mean, over the last 2 weeks or so, I'm sure you've heard about the Achia Mensa, the Chebi ritual murder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read it.
Go back and see the method of investigation. A Ghanaian police officer was dispatched to Chebi to go and live there as an ordinary citizen and so on. Go and read the report of how the killers were identified in the case of Achia Mensa and so on. Dedicated work, professional work. More recently, you remember the police officer who was killed and buried under concrete.
Yes.
It is the same Ghana Police Service which was able to investigate the matter and arrest the culprits. Very high level of effectiveness and efficiency. We've had brilliant police officers in our country. Today, some people don't want to say it. I like to say it all the time. You have a police officer like Kofi Boakye. Kofi Boakye went to Kumasi and changed the Ashanti region, changed policing in the Ashanti region completely. He's sitting here.
And a computer.
You understand? It is not just Kofi Boakye.
Yes.
Today, if you go into the Ghana Police Service, you find policemen with PhDs. They are as knowledgeable as our lecturers in the university, and sometimes even more knowledgeable than our politicians. There's one called the Commissioner Dampare.
Dampare.
Another great guy, yeah.
You understand? He's sitting there. What is he being used for? Dampare is sitting there. What is he being used for? And many more. Many more. We can mention many more. Why are we acting in ways which destroys the professional credibility of these great policemen who want to serve their nation? And in any case, look, when they come into power, when these politicians come into power, and they think that you would not sing their tune and so on, no matter your level of competence and so on, they remove you and put you behind a computer.
Yeah. That's it, yeah.
To play computer games until they leave.
That's it, yeah. That's it.
You understand? This situation must end. The case of the kidnapped girls is an important national issue, and we expect serious national focus on freeing them and bringing the kidnappers to justice. But it is not just the case of the 3 kidnapped girls. It is the level of insecurity in our country which should bother all of us. The people who shot the man in front of Fiesta Royal Hotel 2 weeks ago We need to find them. We need to arrest them. You understand? The people who kidnapped a diplomat, who had the effrontery to kidnap a diplomat and to demand ransom, we need to find them. We need to make Ghana safe again. That's all.
Well, thank you, Mr. Pratt. Before I come to Adib Sani to end on our first topic for us, let me acknowledge that we are live on Global FM 105.1 in Ho. And also go through a couple of your messages. This one from Godwin Yao says, good morning, Senna, and your panelists. I think we as a nation are not on our feet to defend our democracy. So now I will humbly ask your station to do a survey on the ground and test citizens if they are willing to vote. So now many of the citizens are not willing to vote or even to register, and instead of the Electoral Commission, which has a constitutional mandate to register all citizens of 18 years and above, is now on the verge to disenfranchise legitimate citizens from getting onto the voters' register. I fear the success of our electoral fortunes as a country. I don't know why other political parties keep mute, and it seems like the NDC is the only party in opposition. Limiting the registration to the district offices will disenfranchise officers, disenfranchise lots of people. And even if the Electoral Commission is sued, I know what will happen because we have lost confidence in the judicial system under Nana Addo. He sent down from Abelinkpe. This one from Komla Genya says, is the CID boss still at post? I can't believe that one of the suspects is arrested and yet the police still finding it difficult to rescue the girls. In all of this, some citizens whose minds are locked up, controlled and shut down continue to defend this lying, clueless government. What a failed state Ghana has become. Well, let me read a bit more from the PAB MCGH platform. And Habib, well, I think I've gone through that. Musa Abatua says, Senna, I still insist, as long as the Kufuor remains the president, we'll continue to live in fear and panic. Because Kofi Kumse and ex-president Kufuor have warned us, but we ignored. Madam Tiwa Ado Dankwa Kufuor is only interested in political prosecution. No, not ordinary taxpayer. Takwadi kidnappers is never a concern to her, but she is interested in chasing Chairman of Osuampofo's fake tip. We are in a leadership crisis, and Simon Achufoga says, good morning, Senna, and your able, energetic panelists. The truth to be told to Ghanaians, Nana Addo tried to be president of Ghana not because he has the country or the people at heart. His three main objectives are to make money, to change or rewrite the history of Ghana to promote his family members in the lamplight of the country and the world at large, to bear the name of president. Ibrahim Chamber says, good morning, Senna, and good morning to your panelists. Senna, why is the NDC... Okay, I think I've gone through that too. A couple more messages coming through. Francis Ahovi says, good morning, Senna. Ghanaian galamseyers were beaten, arrested, the excavators were bent, and people lost their lives. Now, the white-colored foreigner committed worse than one can think vis-a-vis the galamsey in this country. The senior minister, Honorable Osafo Marfo, Prime Minister, wishes the foreigner is set free. Who can believe this? Africa is dead and is nowhere near resurrection soon. If this is how our leaders will handle issues confronting us, the president has lost it. Keeping Honorable Osafo Marfo still in the office after this affront to the Constitution of Ghana. MBB has woefully failed Ghanaians. The president refuses to speak on vital issues. The only time the president speaks is only when he wants to clear his corrupt appointees. Should I have a mouth, I would have advised Honorable John Peter Amaru not to hastily give answers to allegations leveled against his party or ministry without properly thinking through. You should remember that pride goes before a fall. He sent that from Valley View. Buku B. Kasim says the CID boss 3 weeks ago held a press conference and said that the family should keep calm and that they know the whereabouts of the Tardy girls. Today, how come the same CID boss is saying they do not know where the whereabouts of the girls is unknown. And Odinihu Deborah says, and I think fortunately me has been forced to retract the publication, judging from how I heard him defending the credibility of the source of his information. All that we want is the girls to be brought back to us simple. He sent that from Tishi Kono School. And so those are some of the messages we are getting to PAB MCGH. Adib, good morning.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. A very good morning to my co-panelists, Dr. Justice, Dr. Ibrahim Zubeiru, and my father. Mr. Kwesipra, the last time I was on the show with Amma, I understand you were around, but by the time we were done, I wanted to pass by and say hello. You had left. A very good morning to you. Before I come to the nitty-gritty, there's an issue I would wish to put into perspective, and it's hinged around the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which came into effect somewhere in 1976. Chapter 5 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana draws so much inspiration from the Universal Declaration, which later became the Bill of Rights. And some of the articles is quite straightforward and is hinged around the state protecting the rights of the people, the state ensuring that the people live in peace, harmony, and in prosperity. It's like a social contract kind of thing. The people give you the mandate, then you protect them. So, first of all, it is the duty of the state to ensure that all of us here are able to go to bed in the night with our two eyes closed. The state of insecurity in Ghana is something some of us in the security stakeholders are very worried about. When we talk about insecurity, a lot of people feel, no, but there's no war in Ghana, so what are you talking about? No. Insecurity goes beyond the exchange of gunfire. When you take a closer look at the 1994 UNDP report on human security, is quite categorical. It gives credence to the human aspects of security: environmental, community security, food security, health security, political security, economic security, etc. And they form the very crust of security. So one thing is for sure: the fear of you thinking that I'm likely to be attacked in the night by armed robbers, or I'm likely to be kidnapped, is a state of insecurity. I cited an example some time ago when we had the residents around Adenta going on demonstration over the route and the number of people killed there on daily basis because of the absence of footbridges. It's a state of insecurity. So I wasn't particularly surprised when we also had Governor Lati, then the National Security Coordinator, pulling down the toll booths into Legon. Some time ago, it generated frenzy. People were wondering what it has to do with his outfit. It's a matter of national security. So when we have a community somewhere around Savilgu in the northern region not having potable drinking water, and the women would have to walk about 4 kilometers in thick forest and endanger themselves, or make themselves vulnerable to, thieves or animals or reptiles that might harm them is a state of insecurity. So it is important that to really analyze this, we take a closer look at some of these issues. When the president came to power, one of his first appointments is the National Security Minister, in line with the Security and Intelligence Agencies Act 526. In the past, we had the various security agencies working so disjointly. The security of Ghana was, because you have the national security gathering their intelligence, council, keeping it to themselves, BNI, CID, we had the police intelligence, military intelligence and all that. But in line with that act to, as it were, bring them together sort of, so there will be easier, exchange of information and intelligence and better coordination. He, put together that ministry headed by Honorable Kandapa. Unfortunately, we still have those fundamental issues, and I'll be coming to that as well. You see, the issue of human trafficking, issues of kidnappings, abductions, etc., is something that is quite worrying. And according to the UN Office for Crime and Drugs, countries such as India has the largest number of victims of human trafficking, about 14 million, followed by China, about 3.2 million. Then we have Pakistan, about 2.1 million. Then we have other countries like Bangladesh, etc. And reports also indicate that it is becoming a serious issue in sub-Saharan Africa. So we have a highly sophisticated network of individuals with power, with money, with weapons, who are able to get others as recruiters or as kidnappers to provide them with especially the most vulnerable in society, mostly young girls, through coercive means or through some tricks. So in the end, you have the girls giving themselves or expose themselves to danger without knowing. And what happens is, in most cases, even though in some few cases we have them use humans for sacrifices, you have them move them out of the countries they are from to other countries. They use them as sex slaves and for other purposes best known to them. So it's a very serious issue that must be looked at. I have had the opportunity to speak with some relatives of the girls right from day one. Indeed, when it started, the relatives made an effort to deal with the situation, even though it was the wrong approach. I understand from the information I received that they were communicating with the kidnappers. The kidnappers asked them to send money. I understand at the point they even sent 1,500 cedis and all that before it went to the police. And when it got to the police, there was some level of foot dragging until the issue came out. It gained media attention. Then everybody started giving it the credence it really deserved. At the point, the regional police boss came out to say, the pressure, basically, so to speak, the pressure is too much. We've not found them yet. What else do you want us to do? So at the point, they lost control of the situation. All right. Then the next minute, we have the director of the CID, Mamitua Adudankwa, coming to categorically state that they know where the girls are. They have information about where the girls are. I was happy to hear that, because I thought, oh, finally, we have the girls. Because under no circumstance did I have the slightest suspicion that it's likely they don't have the girls. Because I mean, I couldn't fathom that. Then information began emerging that indeed they don't really have the girls. Then I thought, oh my goodness, how irresponsible, how unprofessional. Because obviously, I mean, this has the tendency, as has been, mentioned by my co-panelist, compromising the whole investigation, throwing it off gear. Because basically she's giving a tip-off to the kidnappers. Because when they have such information, they easily go like, okay, well, I think they are closing in, so let's relocate the girls. And it can even endanger the girls. So yesterday I was on a number of networks and my opinions haven't changed. I'm surprised she's still on that seat.
Yeah.
She should have resigned by now. Because she's shown the highest degree of incompetence. This is no rocket science. You don't need a monitoring and evaluation expert to tell you that she's incompetent and she seems to have lost control of the situation. When I heard the news also, I spoke with a family member of one of the girls, and he lamented. Just like we have no, in fact, we get the information rather from the media. But under normal circumstance, when there's a national crisis of this nature, at least there should be a committee of some sort that would give perhaps daily, weekly briefings to at least their family members. You see, because information management is very key, and I speak as a strategic communicator myself. I remember when some 2 young men were arrested with grenades. Immediately, their pictures was put out there with the grenades as if they were posing with it. Oh, terrorists have been arrested in Ghana. When we know full well that usually terrorists, because of the changing face of it, has become cellular in nature. They are cells. So it's not about 1 or 2 persons. So putting out that information means prompting or giving a tip-off to the others too.
We don't run away.
So information management is extremely key. Whatever you say has implications on not just the investigation, but on people's perceptions and assumptions about what you are doing. I don't really understand. Sometimes when there are issues of this nature, you have so much pressure on the police to perform. So I'm sure this is just a knee-jerk approach which has backfired in her face.
Actually, yeah.
So we get to think, oh, they are doing something about it. But I must say again, that was extremely irresponsible. I don't think she should have said that when indeed they don't have the girls. Yeah. It's very unfortunate. So I still reiterate that Mamitiwa, COP Mamitiwa Adedankwa should resign her position because she's shown the highest degree of incompetence. The problem is, if the issue had been handled well from the start, we would have made sense of it. Currently, we seem to be in limbo. I mean, there's confusion and diffusion everywhere. But you see, in criminology, the first 48, the first 72 hours, in fact, the early days, is very key. Very important, because the more days you lose, the more critical evidence you lose. There's so much technology that we seem to not be taking advantage of. We have a technology called cell pinging, cell tower pinging. So wherever you are, as we sit here, MTN, Vodafone, Airtel, Tigo, Airtel, etc., they can tell that we are here at this very particular point, because everywhere you go, when you change cell towers, your phone pings. You get me? And I understand the girls were communicating with the kidnappers for quite some time.
They're communicating with them?
Yes. For quite some time. Then even after the kidnappers took the girls, their families were communicating with the kidnappers. So if we had taken advantage, we would have gotten them before they fled. So later, when I heard the police, they were moving with wheels. The main suspect from Kaswa here to Eastern region looking for the house. I was like, this is a wild goose chase, because nothing would come out of it, because we had given them so long a time. I'm pretty sure they have fled the country. You see, our investigation regime in Ghana is extremely porous. We don't seem to be serious at all. In other jurisdictions, they take advantage of technologies such as DNA database administration, fingerprints database administration. Recently, I was on one of the networks with the police PRO. I said it. We don't have DNA. Yes, oh, we have it. It's even ECOWAS in nature. What pick or what? He mentioned the name for. But do we use it for any investigation in Ghana? Of course not. When you go to other jurisdictions, even minor traffic infringements, they take your fingerprints and they put it in that database. So when they go to the crime scene, they harvest the fingerprints and they are able to use it in investigating. In the 1970s, there was a killer and a rapist on the loose somewhere in the United States, and the all too famous Golden State Killer. He was recently arrested. I think he's in his 90s now, using DNA technology. We have something called genealogy. They can use it because you are related to the person. They can use your DNA to track. So when we have your DNA, what it means is your ancestry. We have their DNA. So I think his grandson was engaged in a traffic offense, got himself into trouble. They took his DNA and realized his relative is one of them, because they had kept the evidence. And that is what they used to capture him. He's called something D'Angelo. You know, but in Ghana, it's so porous. Not very long ago, I had a friend of mine. He was robbed. He didn't report it to the police. I asked why. He said nothing would come out of it. I have personally been burgled before. I went to the police. Oh, we know the house. Oh, Alhaji's house. We will come to date. And there are fundamental issues within the police service, and most of it is the leadership. And I have been quite categorical in my call for some re-engineering to be done within the police. Indeed, we've had, like my father, Mr. Pratt, indicated, I think for some changes to insulate the security agents, especially the police, from partisanship, etc. So I personally did a research on this, and I came to the conclusion that security agencies need some level of oversight, so we don't have them acting in a manner that is unconstitutional or that would infringe on the rights of the people. That is why before a state of emergency is imposed, it goes through parliament and all that, and when some things are going to be done, there's the need for a state of emergency like curfew, etc. However, we can still tweak it. You know, I'm not a lawyer, so I might not be able to tell the nitty-gritties, but we can still give them some level of independence, but with some oversight, with some other bodies having oversight responsibility, so they don't act in an unconstitutional manner. So what is happening in Takoradi currently is very worrying, and I think we really have to look at some of the issues coming up, like I indicated, with the investigation, with the structure of the national security architecture, because in most cases when we have the police not able to crack the case, we have the BNI, which has more, their mandate is quite bigger. When you look at the law, it's quite, and compared with the Police Service Act 350, you'd realize that they have a bigger mandate. They have more expertise. They have the gadgets, because under normal circumstances, before police, as has been observed by one of the panelists, before police have access to your sell records, they would have to get a judge to issue a warrant. Then they attach letters to MTN, Tigo, etc. before they are able to get. And time is lost. You get me? So I think going forward, we would have to change some of these things and give them the gadgets and train them. But of course, that is only possible when there are some legal rearrangements. So they are able to access some of these information in real time. But of course, there should be some control measures, so you don't have people using it to check on their girlfriends and and all that. So, I mean, generally, the state of insecurity in Ghana is something that we all need to be very worried about. I have a security firm, and trust me, lately the number of people I have walking into my office looking for security solutions is a general manifestation of the feelings, the fear people are harboring about, harm coming their way. Recently, I mean, I close late sometimes, and I'm very worried of my environment. I was driving home, and every single day I step out. When I'm going home, I'm always very worried. Anytime, especially, I think about Ahmed Swali, because the analysis we do, sometimes you step on people's toes and people can come after you. You get me? So generally, I think we also have a role to play in that regard. Let us be conscious of our security environment. When you are driving home, make sure you're not very all fixated ahead. You have to take advantage of the side mirrors and the rear view mirror as well. If you feel you are followed, don't turn at the junction to your house. Just go straight. Make sure nobody is following you before you get home, especially those of us living far away from town. You would have to make sure that you don't have anyone lurking, especially late at night, before you get to the entrance of your house. So we all have a role to play. Our social media habits, it makes us very vulnerable. In the past, before kidnappers come after you, they track you for a very long time, surveillance for a very long time. They make sure they follow you everywhere you go. But now with a click of a button, they are able to get every information about you. Your every information, your routine, your children, their names, the schools they attend, all that. I think we need to be very careful with the information we put out there. So we all have a role to play in that regard. However, I think the police has the most of the role to play, and it is high time we took a closer look at that.
Thank you very much, Adib Sani. And just to remind you of the panelists I have in the studio this morning, Mr. Kwesi Prajinia is a regular panelist on this program and is the managing editor of the Insight newspaper. Dr. Justice Moses Kwekwaheto is a lecturer at the University of Ghana, works at the Center for Human Security and Defense. Adib Sani, who we just heard, is the executive director of Jatike Center for Human Security and Peace Building. Dr. Ibrahim Zubairu is a senior lecturer in public financial management and accountancy at Accra Technical University. So let me just share a couple of your messages before we move on to our very next topic. This one is from Moro Osman in Germany. It says, Ghanaians must stand up and vote out this clueless and super incompetent government come 2020 out before they run the country down the drains. Kwe Edward Akwete, Kaswa Millennium City, says it shouldn't be something surprising for us seeing what we don't deserve to see and hearing all this contrast words among this super incompetence, lackadaisical, visionless, lack of passion for the citizens, but glued to the well-being of other citizenship from another country. MPP government. We never understood their history when we're being told, but we went forward to hail and bring them to power. Let us bear the consequence from the action we took some time ago and learn lesson from it. Go for GM when 2020 comes. My piece of wheat for Ghanaians. And this one says, Nanado, the NPP and the Daily Guide, we're trying to divert our attention from Osafo Mafo's serious statement. the statement that was made by him with the Tardy girls issue. And this is the modus operandi of MPP since time immemorial. Divine sent that from Kaneshi. And this one from Tamale, David in Tamale says, "Sir, from all indications, Mami Tiwa doesn't know her job. She should do the honorable thing by resigning and allow a more competent person to take over. As for the president, he has lost touch with the realities of this country." Emmanuel Chukwu from Chado La says, "Good morning, Radio Gold. Indeed, if a woman refuses to go through the pregnancy process, I don't think there will be childbearing. This government has refused to follow the due processes and always says they have the best idea." And this one also says, "Clear indication the security situation in Ghana is very bogus. How can foreigners come into our country, kidnap our people, and for months we have no clue?" This one, CJ in Kokomlemni says, "Sena, Daily Guide is on guard to divert attention from any huge scandal that is the Nanado administration. The issue of the rescue of the Tardy girls was just one of such diversions. The Osafomafo scandal was the smoking gun." Musam from Nima says, "The MPP is only interested in one thing, and that is ripping off Ghanaians, moving Pina, cash for seat, GPS drones, and now the Aker Energy 30 billion scandal. In all of this, the president gives the people involved a pat on the back." This one says, "Good morning, Senator. The current leaders of our country, Ghana, the MPP, have sold Ghana to the devil. That's why everything's going bad. And they are always put to shame." It's from TK in Tema New Town. Teddy from Dodowa says, "Good morning, Senator. When you put wrong people in positions, you will always get wrong results, and you will be put to shame and disgrace. That is what is happening to this incompetent government because they have sold Ghana to the devil." Philip Adika, also known as Odaseni in Italy, says, "The problem of the CID boss is nothing but rather putting a square peg in a round hole. So are you people wasting your time in what the problem is? My regards to Mr. Kwesi Pratt." This one is quite a long one. It says, "I have never seen a government engage in so much partisanship in this country. Professor Mills, may he so rest in peace, said we should all be Ghanaians. And Mahama continued and many known MPP sympathizers kept their jobs. Now even Zoomlion employees are being laid off because they are perceived to be NDC. Poor women I know who worked for over 10 years with Zoomlion with no political leanings have been sacked with very little compensation or notice because someone just wants to get MPP, so-called foot soldiers, jobs no matter who suffers. You said you'll create jobs, not swap jobs. My own direct nephew, whose father died in a die-in-the-wool MPP, was tossed to the wild in one of the government departments just because he got his employment during the JDM era and was perceived to be NDC. When people vouched for him that his father was MPP, he was brought back to Accra from where he had been moved. This is a true story I am telling you. This is the most vindictive president we have ever had. Yet this man has destroyed government bungalows to build a cathedral. Religion should be from the heart. You shouldn't carry religion on your head while your heart and mind are full of evil. NDC should be out there fighting for these people. This is how we will win the hearts and minds. Arise, NDC. And this one, Ibrahim Meya Teshizongo says, Nanado came to loot, enjoy. That is why he's building a national cathedral. Because by the time he dies, no grounds will be proud to host his funeral. John Terry from Sakumono says, good morning, Senator. Ghana police have failed Ghanaians and have lied through their CID boss, who recently got promotion. Shame, shame, shame. Unprofessional units of the police are full spilling of spams who can sell the nation, like what happened in the kidnap case. And this one says okay. I guess this one is something meant for us. there's a lot of... Okay, so let me read this one because a lot of it is about the Osafo issue. It says, the weirdness of the structure of the national security hierarchy. We have Minister for National Security, Deputy Minister for National Security, Minister for National Security at the Presidency, Security Advisor to the President, a retired Brigadier General with an office in the Presidency, National Security Coordinator, not mentioned in most of your discourse, Deputy National Security Coordinator. Challenges with this structure. Who is the head of this security setup? Undefined and lack of clear lines of reporting. Command and control issues. Difficulty of collating of information and processing into intelligence for operational and tactical purposes. Personality clashes, among others. The person did not include his name. Just to remind you that one of our sponsors is Kulun Ghana Limited, and they have a couple of products. Included is the Hunchun capsules for treating prostate disorders. You can get any of the other products, including Mr. Q, X and Y granules, arbabanzine, and King tablets. That's for hypertension at any leading pharmacy, chemical, and herbal shop in Ghana. You can call them on 0244 139 176, 0204 139 176, and 0274 139 176. Once again, our WhatsApp number is 0233 995905. Share your comments with us and I'll read them out. Let's start our very next discussion with Dr. Ibrahim Zubairu. And we're talking about the comments that were made by the senior minister of South Africa as to how En Huang, a Chinese woman who was engaged in illegal mining, was arrested and was being prosecuted, was deported out of this country, the circumstances under which that happened. And what has been called the government position put forward by the Lands and Natural Resources Minister. And subsequently, the tape we are hearing that's coming from the Minister of State in charge of special duties at the presidency, defending the interest of a Chinese mining firm in the Upper East region. Doc.
Thank you so much. Once again, let me use this opportunity to express my condolences to the families of Dr. Atukwashi in KEA, which was just sent to me that he passed yesterday. May his soul rest in peace. And then the people of KEA, our condolences to all of them in Central region. Yeah. This issue about Aisha Huang is the least said about it, the better. Because I expected senior minister to know better, because he has experience. When you look at the time of Kufuor, he was a minister for finance, then to education, youth and sports. You know, at the time they merged these two. So he has worked with the former SSB bank as an MD, and we should understand some of these things, that we cannot just, behave this way. Public pronouncements on this nature is serious. More seriously when Ghanaians have been prosecuted, some of them, their machines have been burned. And a foreigner who is in the same business, for him, we can just send him back to his country without letting him face the full rigors of the law. That is serious. Initially, when I heard it, I doubted it earlier until I listened to the tape and the subsequent defense that all those officers of the state are bringing up. It's marks of serious. I don't know how to. I don't want to use some words that will appear to be, let's say, insulting to an old man. I don't know. Maybe he refused to think. You understand? That's how I can put it. When it comes to the issue of Aisha Wong, the government together, I don't think it is Olu Mafo's decision. It is a whole government decision, because that woman cannot be deported without taking clearance from the various structures that look at the issue. So if she has been deported, it means it's a whole government decision to deport the lady because they are looking for some money. According to Osofumafo, Sino-Hydro project, they are getting money from Chinese to do that. So must we sell our birthright for those monies from Chinese? Must we punish our people and leave others because we are getting money from them? So if right now drug barons bring monies to us as a country, we should leave them off the law because they are bringing money for us to do the project. That is a meaning, because what they have done is the same. You go and get people from, let's say, Colombia or what have you, who are drug barons, use our base or our entry point here to bring the money in, because that money is coming and the government will have access to it. We allow them to do whatever. Is that what we are saying? So seriously, the issue of Aisha Wang has opened up a lot of can worms which we have to look into with regards to how we deal with some of these infractions in our system. The law has been broken. Somebody who has sworn to protect the Constitution and the law is rather supporting the law that has been broken. You understand? The lady, I think, should have been jailed here in Ghana for a certain time, like they do in the US and the UK. When you break the law, they jail you over there. You suffer the consequences, get into the tenure of the prison terms. Then you are deported to your country, either to go and serve the remaining over there, or whatever your country will do based upon the agreement they do. But to say that we have deported her just like that, it doesn't make sense. People have made arguments that during NDC's time, the lady was arrested and that they left her, or she was released and all that. Yes, she was arrested. The problem I have with those who released her at the time, because I don't know the basis upon which she was released at the time, because no government official at the time came out to say why she was released, apart from what Senior Minister Osofumafo and all those guys from the government hierarchy saying. If indeed there's a reason why she was released and it was government directive at the time, then NDC will have to explain why they did that. And if it was just police that released her, or somebody released her, they must come out to clear the air. I think that would be better. Are you okay? And these guys too have arrested her, and for them they think that they have to deport her to her country. Because I remember at the time she was arrested, there were action pump guns they found with her and all that. And then someone was saying that she killed somebody, isn't it? I saw some news item like that. And that's bizarre. Somebody can just come here and kill somebody, a Ghanaian, just because we are getting money from their country, so they can just go. Are you okay? So somebody today, if an American come and is doing a mining today and he's flouting the rules, and you arrest an American, and because America will be giving us money, we should just leave the person to go. It doesn't make sense. Honestly, it doesn't make sense at all. So I think we don't have to sell the birthright of this country for some of these support, and then at the expense of the people of the country. There are several issues I would like to raise with regards to this. For example, if you talk about the US-Ghana security deal, all of them can be classified this way. So if today because U.S. is coming to train our military and the rest of them. So an American who break the law will arrest the person. If you don't deport the person and will prosecute the person, they will stop. They will not bring the program. Is that what we are saying? I don't know. So it's very sad that has happened. It is step on the back of our law or legal system. So I think Osofo Mafu didn't do well, and they have to show him the exit. He should do the honorable thing and resign. You understand? I believe when he does and apologize to the Ghanaians, I don't think he will. Even I expect that the person who appointed him should come out, because he's working for him and their government. They have to come out and then clear some of these issues so that we'll be sure whatever that we are looking for as Ghanaians, we can be able to reach out. What are we looking for in this country? Do we really know what we want? Do our political leadership really, or current political leadership of the country, or the managers of the state, do we really know what we want? Must we keep on taking those kind of loans? Those we took, what did we do with them? What is the problem with our generation of revenue in the country? Have you looked at those? Check all the budget. There's no single year in our budget that the revenue we targeted to collect, we're able to collect all. Historically. Why? And if we're unable to do that, definitely we'll be pushed to go and borrow. What better innovations have we put through with the collections of taxes? And what kind of taxes are we talking about here? Is there anything we're going to do that will help us as a country to be sufficient? We talk about factories. We are closing some of them down. The situation or the systems now we have in place, or the structures, it's not allowing us to do what we're supposed to do. So definitely, the government will see it as an easy way to go and get money from Chinese and then stampede our law. Are you okay? For the benefit of those Chinese people. Go to the Galamsey. If you get people to tell you the truth, the Galamsey, large majority of people who are doing with the sophisticated machines are foreigners. They are not Ghanaians. And if we're able to burn machines of Galamseyers who are Ghanaians, what stops us from prosecuting the lady that we've asked her to go? I don't understand why they did that. They should come out to explain. All they are talking about, telling us, are all lies. I can tell you, because they want to cover up whatever they have done. They've realized that Ghanaians have now seen what they have done is wrong. So they have to find ways and means of covering some of these things they have done. But there's nothing they can do to cover. You are here, you know what has happened. This gentleman know, I know, Uncle Kwesi Platt know. So can they erase it off our minds or our brains? No. We'll continue to talk about this to ensure that Osofo Mafu is shown the exit. If not, those who mastermind it, all of them must leave. They don't fit to lead this country. At all. They don't. You see, what I don't understand is that I accuse, let's say my brother Adib, that he's doing A, B, C, D, blah, 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 blah. And then I'll be given the chance to come. Only to come and then do worse that Adib was doing, that I accuse Adib and tell the people that Adib is not good. This is exactly what is happening in this country. And when you look at it, it's sad. the minister have also come to say so many things. I think when you juxtapose these issues with the mining, the task force for the
interministerial task force, illegal mining, yeah.
I think that though the concept of that task force to ensure that we save our resources and the forest and the rest of them that is being destroyed by the Galamsey mining was good, but the membership, whether they lived up to their expectation. Are you okay? I saw a video by the investigator Anas Arumianas that has implicated the BCU, one gentleman called BCU.
Charles BCU.
It's Charles BCU. And he's still there. Though he has resigned from the committee, he should be shown the exit.
He's still at the presidency.
He's still at the presidency. That is what I don't understand. So you see, my point is that is it a planned thing that people are benefiting from the change or what? Well, all this we can see is like the crimes that are going on with this kind of Galamsey things and what have you is a planned thing. We know a lot of stories that have come out that some of the senior officials of the government, appointees and what have you, when they are sacking other people from doing the Galamsey, they have their guns going to do the Galamsey. So the deportation of Aisha Wang is telling us that this is the truth, that people from within the Galamsey communities who are telling us that this is what is happening. You know, one of our brothers lost his life as a result of this, the task force to protect or stop Galamsey. I'm talking about late Major Mahama. Yes. You understand? And all this is that if people can lose their lives and will spare those who are causing some of these things, then what are we talking about? So it is sad that a government will mastermind. I see it as government's own idea to do. I will not exonerate even our president. You can't claim you don't know. When your own brother, who is your senior minister, is sitting next to you and making this kind of statement, and you are still quiet, you think that what the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources have come to say should kill the matter? No. We need answers. They have to assure us that this kind of blunders will not happen again.
Okay.
And then Ghanaians will have to hold them accountable for every action. Crime in Ghana today is like a plan one, and the government and its officials, some of them are behind a lot of this.
Okay.
When it comes to Osman species, I will tell you what is happening in education right now, especially tertiary level. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zubero. Just one message, quite long, from Stephen Kobinato, then I'll come to Dr. Aheto. And it says, and I think there is a need to cure a certain mischief and deliberate lies of some individuals who seek to defend the reckless comments of Mr. Yao Safumapu by making claims of Aisha Wang's presence in Ghana long before the Akufo-Addo government took power. It must be emphasized that no one forced the Akufo-Addo government to declare a fight against Galamsey. It must be stressed that as a result of the said campaign, a task force was formed from various security arms. As a result, a certain woman has become a widow. Some kids have become orphans when their husband and father, Major Maso Mahama, was murdered in cold blood. It must also be driven forcefully that as a result of the same campaign launched by the Akufo-Addo government, Ghanaians, some of whom hired excavators for use in small-scale mining, have seen their excavators set ablaze while they look on helplessly. As a result, also some Ghanaians have been arrested and prosecuted and jailed for offences lesser than that of Aisha Wang. After the launch of the campaign on ban against Galamsey, this is where the issue is. That Ghanaians could be jailed for a lesser offence, but they did not operate on the scale of Aisha, while Aisha could be relaxed and repatriated because of financial support or loans from the Chinese government. MPP and its science must be guided by these developments. Doc.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. I would just like to deviate a little bit. I left something critical in the first submission that we did. This is to do with the coordination, command and control of the newly established security unit by President Nana Addo, I want to put on record that the insecurity that we are experiencing under President Nana Addo, he is the main architect. He is the cause of the insecurity that we are experiencing under his rule. But why am I saying this? We have existing security structures for the nation. So if you took over power and you think certain things needs to be done, you need to do this bearing in mind that there are existing structures. So that one thing you should be looking at, which is very key, is a coordination between the existing structures and how that can fit well into the new one that you are establishing. One thing that was clear, I've spoken to some of the units. For instance, I have a guy at the National Security Unit. I have a guy also at the BNI. And one thing that came out in one of their critical meetings about harmonizing the newly established security apparatus and that of the existing one was that who used to report to who. And I can tell you on authority that the national security made it clear in that meeting that they are not supposed to report to anybody except the president. So what it means is that even if the national security gather an intelligence and data, they are not able to process that or to submit that to the internal security mechanisms, which is the police service. If you look at our law, the internal security rely heavily on the police. It's not the national security, it's not the BNI, it's not anything. It's heavily dependent on the policing system. And yet a newly established institution is telling you that, well, I'm not supposed to report to this person. And also, I'm not supposed to provide information to this person. So what it means, yes. So what it means is that there will be what you call disconnection between the operations of the national security and the police service. And this is not surprising. This is what we saw at the IASO West Wagon by-election issue. There was complete lack of coordination. Yeah. Okay. So when this happens, security breaks down. So what it means is that I can see somebody thinking it's a security personnel. I'm also a security personnel, but I don't know exactly what this person is here to do. Yeah. By the time I realize I'm having been a victim because this person might do anything stupid because I don't know what he's doing. Okay? So, in fact, I have no iota of lies or anything to reserve to declare that all the insecurity we are observing in Ghana now, Nana Addo is the cause. Not only that one. There are 3 security apparatus he created, okay? We have the National Security Coordinator, we have the Minister in charge of National Security, and one in state or something. There were 3. Now, you created all these, and all these 3 are operating independently. It's all about security. Now, in security, there are 2 things that are key. We call it control and command. Control and command. These things move together. For instance, if I gather data on security, or let's say I gather some intelligence on security of the nation, who can I report it to? And if I report it to that person, who is supposed to analyze that information? And when that information is analyzed, who is supposed to act based on that information? Normally, if you gather an intelligence, data being processed, and action not being taken, is a problem. Even if action is being taken by the wrong people, it's also a problem. So, for instance, what happened at Ayawaso West Wagon is a typical example. If it is true, if it is indeed true that they gather an intelligence that there were some pile-up of arms somewhere, or people want to disrupt, the immediate person supposed to be informed is the police service, not national security, or not anybody who is supposed to go to the ground. So the police service will now gather that intelligence that is gathered for them. They will now process and see how do we address this problem. So before they even move to the scene, decisions will be taken as to who is actually responsible. Some are only in charge of data gathering. Others are in charge of data processing. Others in charge of what? Execution of whatever intelligence has been processed. And all these lines supposed to be coordinated. So that by the time we finish with step 1, we know who is next. Then by step 2, we know who is next. Then we really know where actually the actual actions will take place. But this is completely missing under this government. And I've never, since been on this scene of Ghana, I've never heard of any breakdown of security as far as the previous administration are concerned. There are some few things, but they are not breakdowns. These are things to do with how they act finally. But what we're talking about now is even how data is collected and how intelligence is gathered, how it is processed, and how finally the execution is done. It's a complete serious issue for this case, nation that we need to be bothered about. So what I'm saying now is that I want all Ghanaians to get this clear, that there's a security breakdown in Ghana. And I will call on the president to quickly find a way of harmonizing the effort of the new institution that he has established for the security together with that of the police service. This is the only way we can be assured in a way. Because there are times, even if you delay information so long, it can also cause a trouble. So that's the first one I want to submit. Then the next one is the fact that from the BNI, I have people from BNI who are telling me that even the press conference that they have that was held, during which the woman made a statement that they know whereabouts of the girls, that was never even part of the agenda for that press conference. I'm speaking on authority from BNI. They say they were all involved in that press conference, and that was never even part of the agenda. So the question is, who is she trying to praise on that occasion? That was not part of an agenda. He brought it on. So please, this is just some additions to the first submission that I've made, that I've omitted these ones. So now, going back to the Galamsey issue, I would like to lay certain things clear before I hit. We are talking about a senior minister, Osafo Mafu. This is not an elected member of government. No. It's an appointed person. And I can tell you without any reservation that even the roles that the vice president is supposed to be played, this man has taken majority of them that he's playing. And I can tell on authority that this man is more even influential in this government than even the president himself. Because there are critical meetings, president will suggest this man thinks otherwise. Sometimes the president listens to him. But other colleagues on the same level, if they make suggestions, it's not taken. So what I'm trying to say is that he has a very strong coordination with or bond with the president than anyone else. So if a senior minister, who, if I don't mistake myself, I can say he's the second in command when it comes to the control of the country. If this man can come out, and this man also sits in cabinet meetings, so it means when it comes to the cabinet meeting, he's the second person, because he's a senior minister. So you have a cabinet meeting and the president speaks, he's the next. So if this man comes out to make this pronouncement, he wants us to go to who to go and confirm that what the man is saying is true or not. This is purely the position of the government. Yeah. Let's not waste our time on this matter. So when I see people calling on the government to come out and dissuade themselves or to say something about this, I don't take it from that angle. Because the man has spoken for the president and for that matter for the entire government machinery. So what are we talking about? Now let me tell you, there was this response from the Minister of Lands and then Natural Resources, trying to downplay what Osafo Mafu said. You and I who is sitting here. Even when these Galamsey issues were going on, this guy was not a minister of lands and forest. I think he was a regional minister or somewhere. Yes. This guy was nowhere close to what we are discussing. And all these negotiations about Aisha and Juan here and there, this minister, senior minister, Osafo Mafu, was key in this. And the Minister of Lands and Forestry, Natural Resources, was not close to this negotiation. So how can he now come and tell us that what Osafo Mafu said was not the position of the government? No, how can he come and tell us that? He is far below the man we're talking about. For instance, if President Akufo-Addo says something right now, I don't expect any of his ministers or politicians to come and tell me that what the president says is a lie or it's not the position of the government. What are they telling us? This guy is too small to come and try to do what we call damage control. He's too small about damage control. He didn't even know how to approach damage control in a proper way. The way he presented the whole thing looks like he just wants to rubbish what Osafo Mafu said. But he ended up rather exposing how inconsistent themselves have been. Yeah. That's what I pick from out of this matter. Now, so the issue, who is to believe? Is it the natural resource minister or what? The lands and then the natural resource minister or Osafo Mafu? I will go for Osafo Mafu. Because this guy has no clue as to what is going on. He's just coming to do damage control, but he didn't learn the job well, so he's doing it in the wrong way. Okay. Now, talking about the critical position that the Osafo Mafu hold makes me to make the conclusion that it's a position of the government. I can remember during the campaign time, leading to 2016, Nana Addo went to some communities, telling them that, I've heard that President John Mahama was saying that if I come, I'm coming to destroy the business of Galamsey, so don't mind him. Me, if I come, rather coming to make you better when it comes to Galamsey business. I mean, we have the videos all around.
Yeah.
But immediately after this man got the office, become a president, what did we see?
The song changed.
The Swiss song started change to something that people cannot even listen to it anymore. He quickly dispatched army, the police, the social security, the BNI here and there to go to the ground and kill our fellow brothers and sisters in those communities. You went there, campaigned those communities. You told them when you come, you rather protect them for their galamsey. Now you are going to kill them now. So from the beginning of us, it looks to us like it was a mirage. We thought he was just joking, Then all of a sudden, a whole senior military officer lost his life. That's I would not even call him major. I would call him Colonel Mahama, because if you take your time and you talk to the colleagues of this guy in the army, you know this is somebody who can become the top hierarchy one day. The guy very educated. He's not relaxing on his job. No. Despite doing the job and there, he's still schooling. By the time he was gone, he was already having his masters. Where most of those who are even ahead of him are still having their first degree and then their HNDs. Such a person, you lose his life for free in the name of Galamsey. And yet, one of your own ministers says that Ghanaians should be shot on sight if they see them doing the Galamsey. Is that not it? Now, a foreigner is not being shot on sight too. A foreigner is now being protected by our own system and is being allowed to go for free. You see, this is where I begin to query the judicial system of Ghana. It is so porous, and I have no reservation to say that the judicial, even me as a person and many other of my colleagues, we have lost interest and we have lost trust in the judicial system of the country. Ask yourself, what informed the decision of the Attorney General to go and fight the non-liquor, how did they call it? Mm-hmm. The process non-liquor, something like that.
Non-liquor.
Yes, the non-liquor at the court to discontinue this case. I mean, I don't get it. You caught somebody, not that is they say. You caught somebody who is doing the illegal mining. This person is not licensed to operate. The person is doing this illegally. So by the law, deal with the person. It's not that you don't have evidence to prosecute the person. You have all the evidence. Now you went and filed nolli prosequi, meaning that let her go for free. We are not interested in this case anymore. Meanwhile, about 2 weeks ago, almost about 5 or so of our Ghanaian, miners were imprisoned for 35 good years. Each of them for 35 good years in this country. That is just recent. Before, dozens of Ghanaians were shot and killed at their mining sites.
Okay.
Where are we going as a country?
Look, I'd have to move on to
before I wrap up. What I want to say in a very simple term is that it looks like the government of Nana-Addo loves foreigners more than the Ghanaians who voted for them. And to me, what we used to even cover this is like Nana-Addo now is behaving like the late J.B. Dankwa. You know how he behaves, J.B. Dankwa. He was working for the CIA, betraying his own country. And I don't want to assume that the current leadership we have in Ghana now are trying to betray Ghana for the benefit of others outside the country. They should put the Ghanaians first before foreigners. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. And before I move to Adib Sani, let me just remind you that if you want to choose, if you have to drink water today, make sure it is mobile water. Especially if you need water supplied to your house, use the mobile water 20-liter bottle, instant refill door-to-door delivery service. So mobile water should be your choice for today. Just call 0244-650-939, 0244-650-939 for instant supply, or you can visit them at Tema Headlight Industrial Area behind Mark Baron Hotel. Adib.
Well, thank you very much once again. Ghana is Africa's second largest producer of gold, and it's also the 10th largest producer of gold in the world. However, we have not benefited to a very large extent from this because of a myriad of reasons, particularly the issue of illegal mining in Ghana. Indeed, the president Akufo-Addo, in an interview to a media house called Nikkei Asia, said, and I quote, Ghana and China have a strong relationship. However, we have a big problem with Chinese involvement in illegal mining activities in Ghana, and we have decided to do something about it, unquote. Now the question is, what are we doing about it? Is there something we are doing about it? Is the release of Aisha Juan and the likes? Indeed. We have, according to records, and thousands of Chinese coming into the country. In 2004, we had about 6,000 Chinese nationals coming into Ghana, but it's quickly shot up to about 18,300 in 2012. And by the following year, 2013, we had about 20,300 registered Chinese coming into Ghana. However, the numbers are far more than that, because now they come in through illegal means, because we have quite a large number of Chinese also in Togo, and who get visa on arrival, and they are able to come into the country under the radar through Aflao. Exactly. And when you look at the trade statistics, there is an imbalance of about $5 billion, because it doesn't add up.
Yeah.
You know,
sure.
The amount of gold we sell and the amount of gold we mine.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
You get me? So there's a serious trade issue, in actual gold exports. But generally, I was very shocked. I was gobsmacked and highly disappointed in the remarks of the senior minister. In fact, the arrogant posture. I mean, it was more like the question is not even necessary. Let's move forward. Let's move forward, because it doesn't change anything.
It's the same person who said some regions don't have natural resources, so president shouldn't come from there. Is the same person?
Exactly.
So that should inform you his mindset from that time.
I was very surprised. It has no implications. So let us go. Now I'm going to educate him on the implications. We have the records. In recent years, about 1,000 Chinese were arrested. Only 12 of them had charges preferred against them.
On illegal mining?
Yes, on illegal. During the Operation Vanguard, about 1,000. Only 12 were charged. At a point, one of them, I don't know how, escaped from detention, and his vehicle, impounded, was released. Only God knows how. So if there's no commitment, if there's corruption, there is no way we can make headway in this fight against illegal mining. Anas has helped us to a very large extent. He uncovered a lot, including someone at the very corridors of power. Then the next minute you have the same person following a government delegation, in fact, on our behalf, representing us at the international stage. So are we really committed to fighting the scourge? And when you take a closer look at the the laws on mining. The law prohibits mining on lands below 25 acres. Yet you have them paying their way through mining even an acre and all that. So we need to really work on the corruption we have in the system. Indeed, because of illegal mining, we have, especially many of these communities, fuel shortages and all that, because the machines they bring into the country, they consume a lot of fuel. So you have them, so you and I are not able to access fuel perhaps to go to work.
Yep.
So obviously that reduces productivity. They use weapons illegally acquired, and we have an Arms and Ammunition Act, and it creates general insecurity. And insecurity has gone beyond the lack of safety, but it is a developmental issue as well. So it affects the development of Ghana. Now, cocoa farms. I understand Aisha One is not just an illegal miner; she was a kingpin. Indeed, she would come to you and tell you, I want to buy your cocoa farm. If you say no, the next minute you have excavators with full police escorts coming to excavate your land. So it's either you let me give you that pittance or you go without nothing. So that is what she did. In fact, I hear at a point she would even come and mine around your cocoa farm, so your cocoa farm becomes like an island sitting within the mining sites, and nobody did anything. Look, I'm sure the number of complaints to the police about Aisha One would be in the hundreds. Nobody did anything about it. And the next minute, you let her. Of course, because she moved with police protection. Aisha One, the evidence is there. And there was a surge in robberies in the area as well because of illegal mining activities, apart from, the associated pollution of our waters, etc. And the law is also quite specific, no dredging. But they still do it. Our beloved Itiwa forest. You can imagine the damage that has been caused there. And you tell her this had nothing to do with our economy, with us moving forward as a people. What are you talking about? So the issue of illegal mining is serious, and we would have to be extremely proactive. Aisha One is extremely unfortunate that she was left off the hook, because it so motivates others to toe the same line, because they know full well that, our government gives them loan. Without our government, they are nothing. Yeah. So when we do anything, nobody would do anything about that. So it is quite worrying. And I think it is high time we also take a look at the legal regime, because currently people are able to sell goods without us verifying the source. And there's a legal loophole there. So I think that would have to change. There's the need for commitment on the part of especially the political class in fighting the scourge of illegal mining in Ghana. Indeed, there's a record here that says I think that is 2017 records, about $2.3 billion of gold is moved to China, I think, for that year. But still, there is a discrepancy, because many of them from here go to Dubai, courtesy the Chinese. So the issue of illegal mining is quite serious. It affects us in so many ways. It affects us socially, economically, it affects us culturally, a whole lot. And interestingly, many of these miners come from a particular province in China. I think there's the name, Shaanxi. I've forgotten the name of the province. And like it's noted for harboring lots of mafia-like organizations with so much money and power. Perhaps they sat in a meeting and felt that Ghana is too loose. I mean, our politicians, we can simply have our way through. So let us invade, so to speak, the country. And that is exactly what is happening. Then the next minute you have Chinese, users of Weibo and the rest making noises about it. But one Chinese man called Hu Jinghua wrote on Weibo. He lamented over the manner in which his fellow compatriots treat local people in Ghana. How some of them are forced to work with no wages. Some of them are threatened with death with the aid of, Ghanaians. So some of these things are worrying, and I think we could have done a better job. But honestly, like I indicated earlier, I'm extremely disappointed in the senior minister, and it wouldn't be far-fetched if he apologized to the good people of Ghana. Yes.
Thank you very much. Hadi in Pig Farm says, go and convince Class 1 peoples with this clarification. What signal did government send by refusing to prosecute Aisha Wang in the first place, and to encouraging more Chinese and foreigners to destroy our land and water resources? What moral courage have this government to prosecute even Ghanaians who commit similar crime? This is bad, and the senior minister should have just shut up. Every justification is a further provocation. So because we want to focus on our development, any foreigner can come and cause damage to us and our environment illegally and go away, right? Can a Ghanaian go and do same in China, and all they would do is to let him go just like that? It is true that the old age of Methuselah has nothing to do with the wisdom of King Solomon. Allah save Mother Ghana from the hand this super incompetent and substandard government. Hadi from Pig Farm sent that. Uncle Kwesi.
Well, as a matter of fact, this statement by Honorable Yao Osafu Mafo has been discussed for well over a week. And I don't think that there's a lot more to say, about it. One of the important things is that Mr. Safumafu says in very clear terms that the prosecution of citizens or of any other person must necessarily lead to the happiness of himself and or other citizens. And I find that extremely weird. I mean, when he poses the question, how would the conviction of Aisha Wan, please him or please the people in the room and so on? And I just asked, so they have just arraigned Mr. Ofosu Ampofu, before court. Yeah. How would his conviction please him and please others and so on? Yeah. I mean, if that is the criteria for seeking conviction for persons who are alleged to have committed crime. And then he poses the other question. What would be the economic benefit? And so on. I mean, very strange situation. But you see, the most important thing is that this is Honorable Yao Osafu-Mafo, whose designation is senior minister. Yes. And therefore, it is right to assume that he superintends over the functions of other ministers. Indeed, if you look at the executive branch of government, he appears to be the third person. President is number 1, vice president number 2, and he is number 3.
Maybe 4 speaker.
And this is how he thinks. Very, very strange. Since this thing happened, there have been some lame attempts at distancing the government from the statements that he made. That is a very difficult task, given the fact that he was speaking at that function in his capacity as a representative of government. You understand? clearly speaking in his capacity as a representative, of government. But for me, the most important issue that arises, and that is overlooked by many people, is the claim that this Sino Hydro company is here to assist us to process our bauxite. I mean, I've heard all the statements, read all the things in the newspapers about the Sino Hydro project, and there's nowhere that they are here to assist us to process the bauxite. They're just here to carry the bauxite away. Now, is it that the senior minister doesn't know? And if he doesn't know, it would be very strange, because I understand that he's a key negotiator. He participated in the negotiations.
That's true.
Now, is it the case that he's forgotten what he negotiated? Either way, it doesn't look very good for us. I mean, one of our most senior, people doesn't actually knows what he's negotiating. I want to be very mild today. One, out of consideration of the age of the senior minister, he's not a young man, he's not like us, and so on. So when you're talking about him, you ought to be very careful. Besides, we are talking about somebody who's been finance minister before. He's been all kinds of things, managing director of the Bank for Housing and and so on. So we ought to treat him with some respect, But sometimes, some of these very senior people make it impossible for young persons, for ordinary citizens, to treat them with the respect they deserve. Because if you recall, this is the very man who went to Germany, signed an agreement on behalf of the people of Ghana, and when he arrived and he was asked what was the content of the agreement, he said the agreement was in German. He signed an agreement in German, obviously meaning that he didn't read the agreement before he signed it. Master, what can I say? I think we should leave it at that.
So, thank you very much. So we have time for a couple of messages. Baba Musa Xiao Bojian says the dishonesty of Honorable Etacha and Akufo-Addo's government must stop when the Honorable Etacha realized that the Saglemi Affordable Housing Units agreement is not value for money. Why did Akufo-Addo's government and the Ministry of Housing pay $5.6 million to the contractor in March 2017? Honorable Etacha is exposed. We were so impressed with the first phase of the Saglemi Affordable Housing Unit after a visit to the place. So why the U-turn? Certainly, this government is playing mischief. Mr. Etacha must stop lying to make his corrupt cousin Akufo-Addo's government look good. And Kavlon Mula says, good morning, Senator. Greetings to all the panelists, especially Mr. Kwesipad. May Allah continue to bless and protect him, and also to my brother, Dr. Ibrahim Zubeiru. Happy watching him live from New York. Marvin Doe says, please tell the NDC communication team. Okay. This one, Ibrahim Chamba says, good morning, Comrade Senna, and good morning to your panelists. Senna, why is the NDC quiet over EC's diabolical? Okay, I think I've read that message, and that matter keeps coming up. The tussle between the NDC and the EC. Well, what happens at IPAC over the past week, to the extent that a deputy chairperson of the EC described the NDC as a threat. Daniel Mettel says the president behaves like a spectator when it comes to the real issues confronting Ghanaians. These kidnapped girls does not bother him at all than to clear his corrupt appointees of no wrongdoings. The president Anado is a protector of foreign nationals and championing their cause. I fear for Ghana. Well, so those are just some of the messages. But maybe I should take a few optional comments of 2 minutes from each of you. Dr. Ibrahim Zubeiru has been itching to talk about some issues in the educational sector. But Doc, your comments must be really brief. You have 2 minutes. Yes.
First of all, thank you so much once again. You see, The common law for public universities is a smack and hypocrisy of this government, who claim that they are coming to protect academic freedom. And if you listen to Professor Adam Mensah and all those people who spoke about it, Professor Jampo, all of them, and I associate myself with them. This government want to, destroy the education system in the country. Look at the basic level what they are doing. They say they are now going to change what have you, reduce the syllabus to the courses that the children do to 4 and what have you. Now, most of you studied abroad. Your children went to school abroad. Is that how the curriculum look like? We've all studied abroad and we know what is happening. I have taught in a secondary school in the UK for a long time, and I know the curriculum. And when you come to the universities too, there are curriculum. And I'm here teaching in a university. Now you are bringing a law that sought to give you powers over the councils. Councils is the highest decision-making body of every university, and the academic freedom must be protected. Lecturers must be able to freely speak their mind about the research they have done and defend it, irrespective of wherever it is, whoever is affected, provided it's a clear research that has not been doctored. You understand my point? Now, let me give you an example. When we come to technical universities now, the government claim because they did not convert technical universities or polytechnics to technical universities, they are doing so many things to destroy that legacy led by John Mahama and the NDC government there. Let me tell you, as we speak now, they say they are doing a staff audit. In this staff audit, everybody who has studied in the United Kingdom is not qualified to teach in a technical university on the grounds that the masters the people hold is not a research masters. But you need a research masters to teach in a technical university. You are teaching somebody to go out there to go and be hands-on to do. You need professionals. You need people with professional masters to be able to do that. You understand? People somebody has done a professional master's, yes. He has come to do publications. You are throwing that experience away and claim that the person is not qualified to teach in a technical university. I don't understand them. You understand? Somebody with a doctor of business administration and somebody with an MPhil, both of these people, or these two people, if you are talking about something like accounting, the person with DBA is a chartered accountant and has a DBA. Teaching somebody hands-on to become an accountant. Compare these two with somebody who has an MPhil in accounting, where he read a small portion to do the research. He's not grounded in the subject area. That person, do you think he can teach somebody to be hands-on? Somebody who went to do raw physics, are you okay? And we are talking about, let's say, medical physics in laboratory. Can you compare an MPhil holder in raw physics to somebody who did medical physics, a master's in medical physics, which is a technological program, what we call course, that he knows how to even use the equipment. Raw physics, MPhil in raw physics, what equipment did you use in the university? See, these are the things we are talking about. And it's sad that as we speak now, they are downgrading lecturers from their original levels. Like somebody is an associate professor being downgraded to assistant lecturer. Can you imagine? Somebody is a senior lecturer downgraded to assistant lecturer and the kind of mistakes, the kind of impunity that goes with some of these things and when we challenge them, and now tell us that they're now going to do staff audit at the public universities too. So they've sent letters out and they are doing that of UPSA, they'll be doing Legon and whatever. I'm telling my colleagues, professors, Dr. Agbanu in Legon, you guys should sit up and scrutinize the basis upon their audit. So that they don't shortchange you like they have so far shortchanged the technical universities. You know, let me tell you one thing. The leadership of technical universities leadership of technical universities, like their vice chancellors and what have you. The leadership of technical universities the vice chancellors of the technical university, most of them are acting. They are not substantive. And they are using that one. They can't speak.
Okay, Doc.
Thank you.
I think I can imagine. I mean, how Doug is passionate about it, because some of the issues are quite legitimate. Indeed, my issue is about the general security of the country. Like I indicated earlier, there's the need for some re-engineering to be done. When someone introduces himself to you as national security agent, no, you don't have to fear the person, because really, trust me, a lot of us Ghanaians don't really have a full comprehension of what it is. There's even nothing like national security. No, we have a National Security Council, and that is supposed to coordinate the activities of the intelligence agencies in the country. The National Security Ministry is like a government bureaucracy that is also supposed to, as it were, bring all the security agencies under one umbrella, so there's better effective coordination. So I think it is important that going forward, a lot of Ghanaians get to know that national security, or whatever it is called, is not all about the buga Rambo style way of going to apprehend people, but it is about providing the daily essential things that we need to survive, such as water, such as sanitation, etc. So it goes beyond what really people think. Like I said, I'll be brief. I would like to end with a shout out to an independent thinking person who is an ardent listener of Radio Gold and the program. He's Alhaji Seydou and his wife Hajarabi Seydou, both at Kaswa Everlib. They listen to this program. They make independent analysis of some of these issues that come up, and we need people like them in Ghana, more of them.
It's not turning noon, so good afternoon to you, Alhaji, and your wife, Doc.
Yeah, thank you, Senna. It's been a great day so far. And surely I cannot finish without security issues. So I actually sat with my brother while we are calling for re-engineering of the entire security system. And if possible, I will call it complete overhauling of the system. And if we can find a way of, taking some responsibility away from the city president, the effort he exerts on the security, we have to find a way to separate some of these things so that either president can, president go, the securities can still be on top of their job. Then secondly, I'll go to the Galamsey issue. I want to make it clear that the Galamsey issue is a government-sponsored issue. It's not an issue in isolation. The government is very much aware that the illegal money is still going on under the pretext of this their fight against Galamsey. We heard about government appointees like Sir John, who is currently the Minister of Forestry, who is saying that even when they capture illegal miners at this time, their own government, big men in their government will call them and then ask for them to be released here and there. Some equipment will be seized. Officials from the government will call them to release them here and there. So that alone tells you that the government actually is the one sponsoring the illegal mining in the country. But to prevent you and I to benefit, they are telling us that we should stop the illegal mining. Well, they take center of the money at this time. So we got to be wise. If possible, we got to go on the street and demonstrate about this kind of activities. It looks like we have not been acting as Ghanaians at the moment, because if we know all these things, why are we sitting down? The talks alone will not do the job. Secondly, too, we should be able to form some strong alliance, hit the street for these kidnapped girls that we are talking about. We need to do serious demonstration, not only by the families of the kidnapped girls, but as Ghanaians as a whole. I'm calling on innocent Ghanaians. I'm calling on those who believe in Ghana. Let us hit the street about these girls. It's very serious. Today is them, tomorrow it could be us. So let's rise up. Then finally, for sure, I cannot finish without talking about the education sector. There's a cynical agenda by the government to destroy the entire education sector. And I'll give some few reasons. Because of time, I'll give just some few reasons. I think, Senna, you guys have to call some forum for us. We need to come and deliberate on the things that this government is doing that will destroy the education sector forever for us. So, but for sure, I have to make some quick points before I hand over the microphone. I'm so sorry about this. First of all, if there's something about the governing council, as it started, what the president is doing now is to have more appointment at that level. So what it means is that, for instance, let me even read their own this thing to you. There's the governing council, that is clause 5A to J of the proposed public university bill. The governing body of the public university is a council which shall consist of the following 9 members appointed by the president, including a chairperson nominated by the president, the vice chancellor, 4 persons nominated by the president, one of whom shall be a woman, one representative of the registered unions in the university on rotational basis.
So all the
unions also, they are basis again. Even the one that we're talking about to be on rotational basis. As to whether it's going to be every 4 years or 8 years, we have no idea. So what it means is that at the end of the day, majority of the council members who are supposed to make decisions for all the universities in the public sector come from the politicians. Yeah. That is the president. So basically,
that's why I was saying that I think this is a substantial issue.
Yes, no, I'm sorry, I'm finishing 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Past.
Yeah, just 30 seconds. So what I'm saying is that the government should not look at what happens at KU and ST to destroy the entire system. Okay. Already the senior high school is already struggling. The base is already struggling. So we'll leave this case for another time. Please find a time.
Headmasters are not allowed to speak. When you speak, they'll remove you.
I mean, they'll take you off right now. So on this note, I'll end here.
Thank you.
But remind Ghanaians that just to remind Ghanaians, I want to remind Ghanaians that if they are now going to Atimpoku and they want to take some pictures on the bridge, the MPP government is charging them 4 cities
to take a picture.
Yes, on Adombe. I just came from there last weekend. Yes.
That they said we cannot innovate.
I'm telling you, you have to pay 4 cities to take a picture.
The 2 doctors we had on the show, they are both from the academy. We have to know sure what is happening in the academy. One Dr. Justice Moses Aheto is a lecturer at the University of Ghana. Works at the Center for Human Security and Defense. He also had Dr. Ibrahim Zubero. He's a senior lecturer in public financial management and accounting at the Accra Technical University. Adib Sani, executive director of Jatike Center for Human Security and Peace Building. Of course, Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr., the ever dependable, is managing editor of the Inside newspaper. He was also on the show. Before I go, just a message from Chris Akume, lawyer Chris Akume. Says, Senator, good morning. I'm not worried about Safumafo's gaffe. I'm happy that the truth escaped from his mouth. We must be grateful to him